Good evening, Cerritos residents and the members of our community and those of you here with us in the chamber, the City Council chamber of the City of Cerritos. Welcome. I would like to call to order the Thursday, November 13, 2025, 7 o'clock p.m. City Council Successor Agency regular meeting. The invocation will be given by Pastor Rick Westra of Trinity Christian Reformed Church. And the pledge will be led by Seroptimist International of Artesia, Cerritos. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Westra.
Let us pray. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of the heavens and the earth. Gracious God, we pause to acknowledge you and seek your help. Thank you for bringing us through another day. Thank you for this city, this place, and all who are gathered here tonight. Lord, we also thank you for those who have served in the military. Grant them peace and strength. Thank you, Lord, for the peace and the freedom that we have here. Thank you, Lord, for the simple things: running water, working sewage systems, the many people who help these things keep running. It takes a lot of people and a lot of work. Lord, we bless you for making it possible. Lord, thank you for the members of this council and all who support them. I pray your blessing on their families. Give them wisdom and courage in facing the challenges that we experience. We give you tonight's agenda. Help us to listen to each other, respect one another, and serve one another in love. May we honor you in what we do and say, and may you use the work done here to bless others in this city. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So thank you to Seroptimist International of Artesia, Cerritos, and thank you to Pastor Rick Westra of Trinity Christian Reformed Church. Pastor Rick Westra, who is here with you today?
We got Luke and Lily. My son, he's 10, and Lily Kay. She's 5 and will be 6 in December.
So is that Luke Westra and Lily Westra?
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today, Luke and Lily. Madam City Clerk, will you please conduct the roll call?
Council and Agency Member Hong.
Present.
Council and Agency Member Polito.
Present.
Council and Agency Member Say.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem and Vice Chair Johnson.
Present.
Mayor and Chair Yokoyama.
Here, the next item is presentations. Today, at today's City Council meeting, we are doing our business spotlight. Birmingham Controls, Inc. Since 1961, Birmingham Controls, Inc. has served the process controls and steam specialty markets in California, Arizona, Nevada, and Hawaii, with a local facility in the city of Cerritos. At its Cerritos location, the company provides operational support for regional markets and customers and has been part of the community since 1980, celebrating a milestone of 45 years this year. Birmingham Controls Incorporated supplies specialized process control valves and safety relief valves designed to protect pressure vessels in accordance with American Society of Mechanical Engineers standards. The company assembles and pressure tests valves in-house using high-pressure steam, air, and water to verify performance. The company serves a wide variety of industries, including biotech and military applications. Birmingham Controls, Inc. is located at 11144 Business Circle here in Cerritos. And their website is Birmingham, BERMINGHAM.com. And at this time, we are pleased to showcase a video prepared by the city spotlighting Birmingham Controls. Staff, can you play the video?
Hi, my name is Greg Gass, and we're here at Birmingham Controls in Cerritos, California. Welcome. I've been here for 45 years, and this is one of our 6 location facilities, our main repair facility, and testing and assembly of new valves. We're a specialty hybrid company involved in valves and controls for process controls, from wastewater to power plants to refining, oil, energy, mining, just about every market you can think of. We always thought we were recession resistant, but it turns out we're recession proof. 2008, when everything melted down, was one of our best years. When COVID hit, our business doubled. It's very unique, it's counterintuitive business. We're just everywhere in every market with energy, and we touch every aspect of your life. So we're here at part of the production area where we repair and assemble control valves. So if you pan to the right, you can see vices with specialty valves. These are from refineries, local refineries that are set in for repair. These valves might be 40 or 50 years old, and we bring them back to life as brand new. This area, we test and repair safety relief valves. This is the last line of defense for overpressure protection for boilers and pressure vessels. So behind me is various test equipment. We have 6,000-pound air pressure testing here, 22,000-pound water pressure testing, and steam to 1,750 PSI. So when it leaves here, we know exactly how it's going to work in the field. If it's going to a refinery, a power plant, a pharmaceutical plant, any type of tank or pressure vessel. So being in the city of Cerritos has been good for our business. We haven't had any issues or any problems that we've encountered or we experienced, and we've had good support.
So congratulations to our City of Cerritos Business Spotlight, Birmingham Controls, Inc. And I would like to call up so that I could present the proclamation to Birmingham Controls. If I could please have their Human Resource and Payroll Administrator, Tammy Mahler. Is it Tammy Mahler? Great, please come up. And if I could please present you with the City of Cerritos proclamation celebrating and congratulating Birmingham Controls, Inc. Congratulations. City Council colleagues, can you please come up and join us for a group photo with Tammy Mahler from Birmingham Controls, Inc.
All right, everybody, right over here on three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Couple more, please. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations. Thank you for being Cerritos. Thank you.
Yes, you're
Thank you.
Tammy, congratulations. In addition to the City of Cerritos proclamation, let me just send house. So congratulations to Tammy and Birmingham Controls, Inc. In addition to this City of Cerritos proclamation from the City of Cerritos and the Cerritos City Council, I'm also giving her a certificate of recognition from our state senator, Tony Strickland. There you go. Okay. Congratulations. Item 6, public comments. Thank you for your attendance at tonight's meeting. State law and our local rules do not support the use of profanity, hateful speech, or activity that disrupts the conduct of this city business meeting. If necessary, I will issue an initial warning and call for a recess to restore order. After that, the chamber may be cleared if disruption continues. The following comments pertain to all public comment periods on tonight's agenda. I will open public comments at the appropriate times on the agenda. Please be prepared to approach the podium and begin your comments at the time you are called. Public comments should be directed to the City Council and made only from the podium during your turn. Please respect each speaker and refrain from any disruptive behavior or speech during their comment time. Public comments will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Agenda item 6, public comments should be limited to items on the consent calendar. Closed session and items not listed on the agenda but that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body. Prior to tonight's meeting, the City Council received full text, unredacted copies of the one written comment submitted by the deadline under this item for item 7C. Requests for copies of written comments can be made to the office of the city clerk during regular business hours. I will now open item 6, public comments. Teddy Lloyd.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, so nice to see everybody. Good evening. First of all, I'd like to comment about a couple of days ago, the City of Cerritos organized an iconic celebrate the Veterans Day. And I'm very happy because I not miss, sometimes I miss some, but then I'm so happy that the City of Cerritos has done that almost continuously. And I'm a strong believer that freedom is not free. Freedom is never free. And I'm so grateful for our U.S. military and then the veterans, and then they protected us. And I always say, be grateful for things you don't have and always something you're given. So in any case, I want to thank the City of Cerritos. They have been doing that. Okay, my next point, I like to request or suggest to the City of Cerritos that I recall so well that Mr. Mayor commented in the State of the City address to help residents to help out to generate revenues. And then I definitely would like to do that for the City of Cerritos. Our family, we've been in Cerritos for many years. So as you probably know, I know people in Cerritos know that I'm very much into pickleball, and then I'm also very, very grateful for the City of Cerritos created more pickleball courts this year alone, okay? So it's great. So I started thinking about how to generate revenue for the city of Cerritos, and then there's several different ideas. However, what I've discovered, it runs into problems that not really by the staff, but then because they're following the rules and regulations, so on. So one idea I have, I say, well, why not make the courts available for reservation? And then, so right now, the pickleball courts at Liberty Park and also at the CP, they're not available for reservation, okay? But the tennis courts are. So for residents, you have to pay, but non-residents, for residents, you don't need to pay, but for non-residents, you have to pay. So the idea came to me, I say, using Liberty Park as an example. Liberty Park now has a total of 13 pickleball courts. Out of 13, 5 of them are outside of the tennis courts that converted 2 tennis courts converted into 8 pickleball courts. So if the city is concerned of, making the courts available for the residents and on, I say fine. But then the tennis courts already make it available for reservation. So why not do that to generate revenue for our city? So some ideas I have, a lot of the residents may say, hey, we want to be playing pickleball, so we don't. Let's not make all 8 of them. Why not make 4 of them? So why I suggested that? I have spoken to many, many pickleball players. Now, today, I would definitely tell you more people are playing pickleball, not less. And many of them, I even asked them, I said, are you willing to pay? They say, yeah, we're willing to pay, especially for non-residents. So how about one idea is to have, out of 8, 4 of them make it reservable. So people are willing to pay. Okay, and that idea, I can get into the details with the staff or with the city council members if you wish to know more about it. So that's one way to generate revenue for our city of Cerritos. And secondly, it's that I even discussed with the staff, I say, well, why not make it available? I recall I came to one of the city council meetings and I commented about why not let my alma mater, UCLA, they can organize these events and then they're willing to pay. And I study what they're paying at places. I said, gee, Cerritos is great. The location is excellent. But the staff said to me, well, they're not allowed to because of the rules and regulations and on, and then so on and on. Well, let's not make it so difficult because other locations, they do have these reservations for events. Events, they usually have it for maybe half a day. And I know the tennis courts are usually set up for reservations. They have it for the Club of Cerritos. So if that's the case, I'd say there are a lot of opportunities that the city can generate revenues by using, the parks. And after all, you can reserve, park at Liberty Park for a birthday party and on. So now, since the Cerritos have created 12 pickleball courts in CPE along with Liberty Park, let's consider that. And I hope the City Council will give a favorable consideration. I'll be more than happy to discuss ideas, okay? So since my time is up, so I just want to thank the City Council. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Teddy. Next for number 6 public comment is Toby Balma.
Good evening. I'm Toby Balma. I'm a long-time resident of Cerritos, a neighborhood watch block captain, and a member of CERT. According to the proposed city guidebook, the city of Cerritos is committed to preserving the high quality of life
Toby,
of...
is your public comment
Yes,
only
yes,
only
yes,
about
it has to,
only
yes.
about the guidebook?
It's not about the handbook.
It's not about the handbook.
No.
It's not about the guidebook. Okay,
No.
Go ahead, keep going.
Okay. I'm talking about responsive municipal services. I come before you with the hope that the city will really provide responsive municipal services. I come before you with a safety issue. I come before you with the hope that the mayor and the council will use its leverage to fix the safety issue relating to inadequate cell phone coverage. I realize that the city really has no jurisdiction on what the cell towers do. It has now become a safety issue with no cell coverage at times, multiple disconnecting calls, and more residents relying solely on cell phones rather than landlines. Safety takes many forms. One of them is cell service, the ability to use your cell phone, especially in an emergency, and if Wi-Fi service goes down, this is a safety issue. I have heard from multiple residents using multiple providers and in multiple areas of the city. Some experience good cell coverage, while others, like those in the Heritage Park area, do not. I hope all of you are aware about issues with cell service and Wi-Fi service throughout the city. I have been disconnected during calls more times than I can count. I'm here today specifically because today I was disconnected while talking to my medical provider. Enough is enough. I have been informed by T-Mobile that there are 4 cell towers somewhat nearby. However, none of them are pointed in the direction of Heritage Park. The Heritage Park Neighborhood Watch Captains are surveying the Heritage Park residents in an effort to encourage the city to improve service. Several of us have been in contact with the city and assistant city managers. Our city manager supports increased cellular service and has contacted Crown Classic, the cell tower company, in the hope that additional coverage may happen, adding, I don't know if it's transponders or extenders or transmitters to the current utility poles, such as light poles. We have reported to and have called multiple cell service companies to fix this issue. Nothing has changed, despite more residents using cell service and canceling landlines. The Heritage Park area is almost in a dead zone. For me, I'm lucky to have 1 bar on my cell phone in my home, sometimes nothing in my backyard, 1 or 2 bars in the front, and nothing in my garage. I get disconnected driving into my garage. Calls on my cell phone drop repeatedly in my home, and to the point where I and others let the callers know that we may likely get disconnected, despite Wi-Fi calling set up in our homes and also in my home. And I'm not alone, as I said. Without Wi-Fi service in my home, my cell phone will not work. Bottom line, no cell service when Wi-Fi goes down is a safety issue. I don't want our dead zone to end up with dead residents because their cell service does not work. 1 life lost is too many. So again, I'm hoping that the mayor and city council will use its leverage to work with the city manager's office and Crown Castle to fix the problem of very poor cell coverage in the Heritage Park area and in other areas of the city experiencing this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. Kirit Chahan.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Made it in the nick of time. First of all, congrats to the council, staff, and everyone for the great Veterans Day event that we had. Second is a request to reconsider closing the library on Sundays. Our library is important to the community and a gem that highlights our city. Council member and former Mayor Polito, you wrote an extensive article about the library in 2018 in the newspaper. You also spoke about the value of the library at the ABC School Board. The cost that you're saving is minuscule when you look at the bigger picture of this. There is no need for this council to be punitive with the residents. You can afford it. There is no fiscal crisis within the city, but yet I do agree you have a cash flow problem. You have multiple investments within your city. You're investing $4 million. Why not spend some of it? Let me do some arithmetic for you. If you have $100 million and you earn interest at 4%, you would earn $4 million a year. You could actually spend $4 million and your balance would remain the same. If you spend $6 million, you run out of money in 25 years. And I know that the city's investments are highly regulated, so let's assume it's only 2%. You still have 2% or $2 million that you can spend. In addition, in the last 2 or 3 meetings, what I have heard is this: you're renting out a property for $35,000 a month. Then there are 3 additional properties that went into foreclosure and now will be coming. I conservatively estimate that your income would be at least $120,000 a month. And I think that negates your statement about meeting the needs of the library. I am not discounting the possible tax increase, but it has to be put in the context of what you do with the money and what you have. Prioritize what is important to our residents, our children, and our community. Please do not close the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Curate. Are there any other speakers? Seeing none, I will close the public comment period. The next item is the consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We had a motion by Councilmember Mark Polito and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson. Let's vote.
The motion passes on a vote of 5-0.
Item 8, there are no public hearings scheduled for tonight's meeting. Item 9A, guidebook for elected and appointed officials. City Manager, do we have a report on item 9A?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, members of the City Council. This item will be presented by City Clerk Cindy Nava.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. If you would please direct your attention to the screen, the item before you this evening is consideration of adoption of a City of Cerritos guidebook for elected and appointed officials. Last April, the City Council took action to rescind the City Council Protocol Manual and the Board's Commissions and Committees Handbook and directed staff to work with the Internal Ad Hoc Working Group, or Working Group, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, and Councilmember Polito to promulgate a new draft of such a document or documents and present the item to the City Council at a future meeting. Official city business must be conducted at public meetings held in compliance with California's Open Meeting Law, or the Brown Act. Provided public bodies remain compliant with the Brown Act, government agencies have broad discretion over their business meetings. Therefore, typically public agencies adopt their own meeting guidelines and procedures. The draft guidebook presented this evening offers such guidelines for consideration. We'd like to highlight just a couple of specific potential amendments to language that appears on regular public meeting agendas under the Order of Business sections of the draft guidebook on pages 9 and 10 of the agenda report. Following that, we'll be presenting 2 recommendations from the working group related to the city's commissions and committees or advisory boards. First, under public comments and suggestions, a potential update is presented as shown on the screen. This presents the mayor or chair with an option to, not a requirement, an option to limit general public comment time to 1 minute in the event a large number of attendees at a particular meeting wish to speak on a non-agenda item. This is not intended to limit public comments to 1 minute for every meeting, though that is not an uncommon practice in other local agencies. The public speaker time limit will be determined by the mayor or chair. The goal here is to allow as many members of the public to speak as possible while maintaining efficient conduct of the city business meeting. As an example, with a potential 5-minute limit for each speaker or group of speakers during this item, up to 9 speakers maximum would potentially be permitted to speak if the 45-minute total time limit were to be imposed, which would be recommended for a meeting with a large number of discussion items on the agenda. Making this change to allow for a 1-minute time limit would allow for a significantly larger number of speakers to address the legislative or advisory body in the event a large number of meeting attendees wish to speak on this item, which is for items not listed on the agenda, consent calendar items, or closed session agenda items. The majority of our neighboring cities have a 3-minute default time limit for this item, and some opt to not state the time limit on their agendas. The next item under order of business we'd like to highlight is the caption under consent calendar. To clarify, a member of the public may always request the legislative or advisory body pull an item from the consent calendar for separate consideration. The time reserved for discussion of non-agenda items and items listed on the consent calendar or closed session is under the public comments and suggestions item. However, the public may request that a consent calendar item be pulled for separate discussion at any regular meeting, whether or not the ability to do so is stated on the agenda. The item is pulled for separate consideration at the determination of the legislative or advisory body, however, and not automatically pulled upon request. It is a common practice of local agencies to describe the consent calendar in a similar fashion as the updated version presented on the screen. This updated language, if implemented, does not present a change to the city's current practice. It is important to note, as mentioned at the last City Council meeting, Senate Bill 707 or SB 707 was recently enacted, which implements certain new legislative requirements the city must comply with on or before July 1st, 2026. 2 key elements of SB 707 are the requirement to allow two-way remote meeting attendance and the establishment of a policy for disruption of such a hybrid meeting. These requirements apply to City Council meeting administration only and not the city's advisory boards. Staff will be working to ensure the city's compliance with SB 707, and a standalone policy regarding meeting disruption will be presented to the City Council for consideration at a future public meeting. In addition to the guidebook presented this evening for City Council consideration are 2 recommendations from the working group related to the city's commissions and committees or advisory boards. It is further recommended the City Council consider 1, renaming the Let Freedom Ring Committee, the City Celebrations Committee, to reflect its expanded role in assisting with the planning of city events in addition to the Let Freedom Ring celebration, and 2, establishing a Senior Services Commission to serve as an advisory body to the City Council on matters related to senior, accessibility, and disability needs. There is no fiscal impact to the city as a result of majority action to amend or adopt the guidebook or to rename the Let Freedom Ring Committee. Costs related to the establishment of a Senior Services Commission will be presented to the City Council for further review and consideration upon receipt of direction from the City Council to prepare a report for Council consideration at a future public meeting. At this time, it is recommended the City Council review the information presented and receive public comment, waive full reading of and adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Cerritos adopting a guidebook for elected and appointed officials as presented or as amended this evening, and direct the city clerk to post the guidebook on the city website and disseminate the document to all city elected and appointed officials, or direct the working group and staff to amend the guidebook and present the document to the City Council for consideration at a future meeting. It is also recommended the City Council direct staff to prepare agenda reports, resolutions, and ordinances for City Council consideration at a future meeting, renaming the Let Freedom Ring Committee the City Celebrations Committee, and separately to establish a Senior Services Commission. This concludes our report, and the working group, City Manager, City Attorney, and I are available to answer any questions the City Council may have.
Okay, thank you for the report, Cindy Nava. Do we have any questions from the City Council? Councilmember Hong, do you have any questions?
No, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to say one thing. About the public comments, I would still suggest to go back to 3 minutes because I think 1 minute I consider is a little bit too short by the time they say their name and the residence. And then I think our meeting is try to have listen to more of the residents' voice. So I would suggest maybe 3 minutes is more reasonable. And then, of course, it's up to the mayors, if we need to extend it or not. But I would still think 3 minutes to be more reasonable. Just think 1 minute is kind of too short. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hong. Councilmember Say, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mayor. Overall, the policies looks good to me. I loved attached with the Rosenberg Rule of the Order. Really enjoyed that, reading the order things. But it's not a bad idea. My concern right now, I do hear that I say may instead of will. In the past, I've been here a couple months already. I do see how our mayor run the process here, really kind of watch the time and give people 5 minutes. I just want to know what is the background, why we changed from 3 minutes to 1 minute. There must be a reason, because we have two current, one is Mayor Pro Tem and our council member was working on this handbook things. And I need to know why we changed that. Even though I see, because I personally run we used to run like 3 minutes or 5 minutes, but we always, the mayor or the school board member, the president have a choice to change the time based how many people attend, how many people have questions. Allow them to have a leeway to make some change time. So limit to 1 minute, the way I interpreting is may not really going to be 1 minute. I need to be some clarification from that.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, Councilmember Say, thank you for your question. One thing that we have to consider is with the recent enactment of Senate Bill 707, we will, beginning no later than July 1st, 2026, be opening up for hybrid meetings and additional public comment via teleconference participation. And so the limitation to 1 minute is absolutely not a recommendation for a council meeting such as tonight, when there are a handful of members of the public in the audience and we have not many discussion items listed on the meeting agenda. This is only an option for in the event you have 50 people signed up to speak on non-agenda items and 50 people signed up to speak on items that are actually listed on the agenda. And the intent is to create balance and efficiency, but not for a standard 1 minute time.
I personally had experience before because, when you go to remote, we'll have some staff will monitor how many people on remote. So we'll let the mayor know how many people there, so that way the time will change based on how many attended. Again, I went through, there was no limit, and we will end up 4 hours of public comment. It really doesn't productively running for the city council meeting. That I can foresee that issue. Do we have a staff to prepare, monitor who's on? I know the SB 707, I read it. Anybody control that? The total, how many people attending, and we'll let the mayor to be aware. Say we need to change time to 1 minute. There's so many people there, So do you have someone who will control that?
Yes, we absolutely will be monitoring. We operated similarly during COVID, as a number of agencies did and continue to do, and we will do so when moving to that that form of meeting.
So change to 3 minutes actually based on the SB AB 707. I was SB 707, sorry. SB 707.
Well, thank you for your question. Presented here is not a default time limit. I can say, for example, our meeting agendas say that public comments will be limited to 3 minutes, but actually, Mayor Yokoyama has graciously extended to 5 minutes during
he
the
is,
meetings that he has run as the mayor. So that truly is up to the chair. However, there is not a recommendation for a 1-minute default time limit. This is that would be up to the mayor or chair.
Yeah, because what we have right now is at 3 minutes. I know Mayor usually let it run for 5 minutes, depends how many people. He does watching around how many people come to the podium. And so set up the 1 minute was recommended by the staff because we totally 45 minutes. Am I right for public comments? Total 45 minutes.
The total for general public comments is 45 minutes unless the mayor or chair extends.
Make some changes. Do they have to have consent from the other council member, or doesn't need to? Mayor will make the decision.
The mayor or chair can make the decision.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Say. Councilmember Polito, do you have any questions?
I have no questions, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a few questions. On page 3 of the guidebook, which would be page 7 of our staff report. No, I'm so sorry. I am wrong. On page 3 of the staff report, under new and renamed advisory boards. So it states that under this section, under number 1, we're renaming the Let Freedom Ring Committee. I'd actually like to amend that to say that we are dissolving the Let Freedom Ring Committee and not simply renaming it. Although the current committee members will roll into this committee, their roles will be expanded by acting as ambassadors for the city's special events mentioned in the staff report. And in addition to the events listed in the staff report, I'd also like to ask that we task this committee to assist with the Water Lantern Festival and Santa Sleigh Day. This particular committee responsibilities are limited to providing guidance and do not include creating or altering staff-prepared events. And page 8 of our staff report. Under the committees, so just confirming that after adoption of the guidebook, that the guidebook will reflect the newly named City Celebrates Committee. Okay, thank you. On page 9, parliamentary procedure. I'd like to ask the city attorney under the sequence of our meetings, particularly where the portion where it states that questions to staff on the agenda report should be limited to questions and to refrain from providing comments till after hearing public comments. City attorney, can you please elaborate a little bit more on that, why it's best to ask questions during the questions section and to comment after public comments?
Yes, and the reason is most of our staff reports and the information that is going to be provided to you as part of the presentation typically includes you as the council making specific decisions, whether they're legislative decisions or adjudicatory decisions, approving, a permit or not. Those require specific information and hearing both sides or multiple sides of a story. If an applicant comes forward and proposes a project, you'd want to hear reasons for the proposal and arguments in favor of it, arguments against it. What we want to do is present information to you as part of the staff report, have you ask questions, seek clarity, and then open it up to the public and others to have their input. Once that happens, it's like you being a judge. Once that happens, you can then obtain all that information, continue to ask questions, but also by the time you get all of that information, once public comment period closes, then you can comment and make your decision. And so when you provide comments before that information is given to you, before public comments come before you, it appears to be that a decision may already be made in your mind before hearing all the evidence. And so that's why, as a guide rule, we want to make sure that you ask questions first, hear out everybody's side of the story, and then provide your own input and your own comments after that public period of comments ends.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam, for that clarification. Also on page 9, order of business, I wanted to ask our city clerk, I know you've already said it in your presentation, and you also answered Councilmember Sophia Say's question. But again, I just really want to emphasize and to explain to the community the difference between may and will, and what that means for our residents regarding public comments.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for your question. Absolutely. Again, I will emphasize that the key word here is may. Public comments may be limited to 1 minute per speaker, and the 1 minute limit would not be the default time limit for public comments under item 6, which is general public comments and suggestions and comments under consent calendar closed session. You inquired about the blurb under consent calendar as well.
Yes, that one as well. If you can also clarify to who can request to pull an item for separate consideration on consent.
As we have seen in many prior city council meetings, members of the public are encouraged to request any number of items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council, which includes pulling an item from the consent calendar. So there is absolutely no taking that away from the public. You can never take away from the public the chance to request an item be pulled. The key here is that whether or not a member of the legislative body or a member of the public requests the item be pulled, it is subject to the legislative body's decision whether or not to pull the item, or subject to the advisory body's decision.
Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate that. No other questions.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson. So, I'd like to thank, again, Cindy for presenting this agenda report tonight. I also want to thank our policy and procedure ad hoc working group, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, Councilmember Polito. Thank you for what I understand to be many meetings in City Hall to put together this proposed guidebook. So I'm looking at, thank you. So I'm looking at page 4 of the proposed guidebook. Number 3A, placing an item on the public meeting agenda. What is the current policy for placing an item on the public meeting agenda for the City Council and for the advisory boards?
When the protocol manual was basically rescinded, there was no official policy. And so we've been operating without an actual policy with respect to how to place an item on an agenda. What we have been doing is what the past practice has been, requesting consensus either at the dais during a council meeting or having a discussion with staff, and staff would then put an item on, or by request by two members of the council, which is also typically done at other agencies.
What did you say that practice was?
The practice is either having consensus by 3 of the council members at a meeting during a public meeting, or by staff, or 2 members of a city council requesting it go through staff. That is typically what is done at other cities. And the reason is, if a majority is always required for any item to be put on the agenda, it does disenfranchise 2 of the potential minority council members that may not necessarily agree. And so as a result, it becomes more difficult to discuss certain items if the majority does not agree. And the other issue is, if one person can request an item be placed on the agenda, in a way it takes away from the majority, because one council member or one commission member can always bring something up, even if it's not within the best interest of the remainder. And so that is why typically we have 2 members of a body to be able to request something.
Okay, so you said that the past practice of the Cerritos City Council has been for requests for consensus to agendize matters. It has been at the city council meetings, the request for consensus, it's required 3. 3 council members agreeing to agendize an item during a meeting.
That has been my understanding from past practice.
Okay. And this guidebook, at item on page 4, item 3A, is proposing that the city council and the advisory boards can agendize matters if 2 council members agree.
Correct.
Or 2 advisory board members agree.
Correct.
Okay. Do you think that's an issue, city attorney, city clerk, city manager? Do you think that's an issue for the committees that have a total of 10 members?
For committees that have 10 members, typically we could adjust that to make it a certain percentage, 40% of the membership. It's within the council's purview to determine whether or not you'd want to keep that for 2 or increase that to a larger percentage. But it's typically, I think, for a 10-member committee, I believe in this case, it would be 4 members, but that's a lot. But I will say they don't meet very often, and a lot of that is driven by staff, because it is only, as Mayor Pro Tem said, providing guidance and not necessarily direction with respect to how events are held or conducted.
Yeah, and I agree that 4 is a bigger number than 2, but they're also both 40% of the body. And what was the practice of the city of Cerritos and the Cerritos City Council regarding the mayor unilaterally agendizing matters?
I don't know if I can speak to that, because I don't have the actual history of the mayor agendizing specific items. I don't know if the city manager, the city clerk have any further insight on that.
My understanding is that what City Attorney Lee described, as far as at least 3 members of the City Council at a public meeting requesting consensus, that has been the practice for adding agenda items. I'm not aware of, in the past, a mayor unilaterally deciding to add an agenda item. I'm familiar with what we've seen in the public meetings.
So have previous mayors of Cerritos unilaterally agendized matters for the city council meetings that you're aware of, city manager?
I'm not aware of an prior mayor's requesting an agenda item unilaterally.
Did prior mayors with the prior city manager's involvement unilaterally agendize matters?
Correct. I'm not aware of that case.
When did you become the city manager?
Officially,
What year?
2023.
Okay. What is the practice, anybody in this room, what is the practice at the advisory board meetings? Are the chairs giving the public 5 minutes to speak or 3 minutes to speak or something other than that? What's happening at our advisory board meetings? Now, I have an idea because I've attended some of those meetings, but I want to hear from you, what is happening at the advisory board meetings on what the chairs are allowing and announcing for public comment?
I'll begin by just noting that for certain bodies where there's an applicant involved, such as the Planning Commission, the applicant is typically given a longer period of time to present their project, make their case. But I'm going to defer to Senior Assistant City Manager Kristen Aguila, who has been involved with multiple commissions over the past few months, who can advise on the latest practice.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and members of the City Council. In addition to what City Manager Lopez indicated about project applicants for commission meetings, representatives from the public are afforded 3 minutes for public speaking, for public comment.
You're speaking generally, so are any of the advisory boards, any of the commissions, or any of the committees allowing 5 minutes? Are the chairs allowing 5 minutes?
To my understanding, no. I can speak for the Planning Commission, Economic Development Commission, and Property Preservation Commission. I would defer, and I'm getting concurrence from Director of Community and Cultural Services for the Parks and Rec Commission that it is also 3 minutes.
So while I'm a mayor that has, as a council member and as a mayor, always supported 5 minutes, you're confirming to the city council that our advisory boards, the chairs are going with the minimum time, correct?
Correct. Public comments are 3 minutes per speaker.
Which is the minimum time that is listed in the agenda and in whatever policies and procedures we have at the moment.
That's correct. And I'll also add that I have observed several commission meetings in which the chair, in their purview as chair, has elected to extend the time in certain instances, given the situation at hand.
Just like I do.
That's correct.
Okay. And another question I have for the city manager is regarding 3A under city council. Well, under 3A, there's a difference between the city council and advisory boards, where we're only allowing the advisory boards to the advisory board members to agendize something at a meeting. They're not able to do it outside of the meeting, as opposed to the city council, where outside of the meeting, there's the second bullet point that gives the city council a method in this guidebook to agendize items, correct? It was intentional to give the city council this second bullet point, allowing them to agendize things outside of the meeting, but to not give that to the advisory boards. That was intentional, correct?
That's correct, and as Ms. Lee noted, there are matters of direction that the City Council has privy over that the advisory bodies don't. But additionally, there is that policy that's referenced, it's linked to in the digital document, that prescribes the exact process. And that includes being specifically calling out that the request has to come at a meeting. There's a procedure for bringing back an item, making it clear that the advisory body is not to provide direction to staff, that they're there, if there's a new concept, the concept can be discussed and a formal recommendation can be given to the City Council, who can then direct staff to take action.
And so this agendizing of matters by the advisory boards is consistent with all the other rules in place to allow those advisory board members to agendize things, and it needs to be done within a meeting to make sure everything is followed, right?
Yes, and it also promotes transparency, and so other members of the advisory body are aware of the idea, the topic, and appropriate input can be given to staff to prepare that information to come back with.
Okay. So regarding the City Council having the option of 2 or more council members requesting to agendize something outside of the meeting, do you agree with my idea that it does not have to be only by email? It just has to be in writing?
I think, like in terms of a written note, for example, is that what you mean?
A written note,
Mm-hmm.
an email,
Mm-hmm.
a text message, something in writing to you. That are we only going to limit it to email?
It doesn't have to be limited, and we can accept edits from the City Council that can be incorporated for adoption. So it can be more broad to include any form of written communication.
Any form of written communication would follow the goal of this second bullet point of
Correct.
Of having a written record, which will eventually be memorialized in the agenda report. Correct?
Yeah, the agenda report would simply name the council members who have made the request, but as a written record, it would be available if needed.
Okay. So we talked about the request of removing the idea of taking things off the consent calendar, right? Isn't it correct that under our current policy, the public does not have the right to remove things from the consent calendar?
Yes, that is correct. We're merely clarifying that as part of the written materials, because I think how it's currently written, it may appear that members of the public can simply request and it would be automatically done, but that's not the case because you are the legislative body. You always control the agenda, no matter what anybody else says.
Yeah, like our city clerk let us know that bodies like the Cerritos City Council, up and down the state of California, each under the Brown Act, each governmental agency has broad discretion over the conduct of its business meetings. Do you agree with those words of the city clerk, Ms. City Attorney?
Yes.
Okay. So again, I'm glad we're, when you put it up on the PowerPoint number 3, about the consent calendar. Can you put that back up again, PowerPoint number 3? This is a clarification. It is not a change. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
City clerk, city attorney, city manager, do the three of you agree this is a clarification? It is not changing the practice that has been in place?
Yes, we agree.
Okay. Those are my questions for now. I will make my comments later. I will now open for public comments on this item. Toby Balma.
Good evening again, Mayor and City Council members. Okay. I'm here tonight about C, order of business. Specifically the section, and I want to thank several of the council members who have already addressed this, but I want to reinforce it. Specifically the section on public comments, changing from verbal comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker, subject to the chair extending to a maximum of 5 minutes per speaker with a total time allotted not to exceed 45 minutes unless the chair extends the time. Okay. And the part about changing verbal comments may be limited to 1 minute per speaker, subject to the chair extending the time. I oppose the proposed changes. My comments are not directed at any present council members. I understand the difference between will and may. The proposed change gives the impression that comments and input from the public are not welcome or are at the whim of whoever is mayor. Council membership changes and residents' concerns come and go. A speaker will not know from the word may whether they will have 1 minute or if the mayor will extend their time. If a resident feels it is important enough to come to a council meeting to speak, it is important to respect and hear them without adding an arbitrary time limit using the words may, and about increasing the time limit at the mayor's discretion. At a time when in our country, when free speech is at risk and is being challenged, I hope the council will not move in that direction, but will allow speakers the right to speak to the council at least 3 minutes and not fear being limited to 1 minute if their views are contrary to the mayor. I have spoken to several residents since I submitted my written comments to the council. They find the word may to be arbitrary. Speakers should be advised ahead of time about their time limit, that a 1 minute limit is too short, that all should be awarded the same amount of time. I hope the council will respect Cerritos residents and free speech. I hope the council will not approve this proposed handbook change as stated and send it back to staff to remove the word may, insert the word will, and change the time limit from 1 to at least 3 to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. Kirit Chahan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I want to echo the sentiment. I'm here opposed to the proposed 1 minute speaker time. It gives too much power to the chair, as it is written here. And I'm particularly troubled because this is coming under the guise of SB 707. SB 707 is intended to create more engagement, not less. We are in a body, in a building that is ADA handicapped. People struggle to come in this building. It is not your fault. Those are the rules. But I know individuals that can't make it here. So therefore, teleconference is the whole notion here. When you look at the proposed law, the way it was written, there are only 2 or 3 agencies that opposed it. City of Laverne, County of Kern, County of Solano. If you were opposed, you should have spoken up. The Brown Act, since 1954, has been the floor, not the ceiling. In fact, if you look at the law, on page 6, as it's written, number 12 states, removes the ability of any legislative body to decline to provide public comments on item previously discussed in committee if the subject matter of the committee pertains to elections, budgets, police oversight, privacy, removing from, restricting access to materials available in public libraries, or taxes related to spending proposal, as well as any committees that did not participate in person quorum. I understand what is being written here, but you can also make it very specific by saying it's 3 minutes, unless there's at least 20 participants. That will give you a criteria, a way to, so the public know why you're doing it. If you're on the remote site, you won't see the number of people here. You also need to do flip-flop between people here and people that may participate remotely. Establish a criteria for doing so. This handbook is useful. However, on page 5, I do believe it's on page 5, it has a general parameter of how meetings are to be conducted. Parliamentary procedure, letter B. Listen to the agenda, ask questions. 3rd, open item. 4th, discuss it. And 5th, take vote. But yet in Rosenberg's rule, there's a slight difference. Because under that, the 9 steps that they have has a different sequence. 4th, the chair should ask public. 5th, the chair invites a motion, and then you go into discussion afterwards. So which comes first, discussion, then motion, or motion, then discussion? So if somebody can clarify that, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrot. Are there any other speakers on this item? I don't see any. City Clerk, please announce for the record the written comments received for this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Prior to the meeting, the City Council received full text, unredacted copies of the 2 written comments submitted by the deadline for item 9A. Requests for copies of written comments can be made to the Office of the City Clerk during regular business hours.
Okay, seeing no additional public speakers, I will close the public comment period. Does the council have any additional questions or comments? Councilmember Hong, do you have any additional questions or comments?
Yes, I have 2 comments. First of all, I have the same question. I think I did try to find out the solution as well. Normally, do we have discussion first and then we made a motion, or we should have a motion and then have the discussion? You know, because I do hear different way of conducting a meeting. So I just want to know what is the most, practical one and that we can follow. And secondly, I think we haven't discussed about the business use for the on page 11. The city council use of facility for business purpose. I think this is something new. Am I right? Okay, so I guess my question is like, okay, it's good to have that, and it's very defined, but I just think like each one have 6 community center meetings per year. I think that's a lot, first of all. Secondly, it is good that on the second page, on page 12, it did specify these meetings should be for city business purpose only, because who's going to overseeing the meeting? That's my first question. Secondly, if we conduct any business meeting for the cities, isn't it kind of risky if we don't have attorney or city staff join it? Because we might face a lot of questions, and I don't want to give out the residents wrong information. That's why we want to conduct it in here, because if we have a question, we have staff to supporting us, or we have our attorney to support us, or our city manager, or our senior assistant city manager. And that is very important and very informative, and to let the residents know the correct answer and the correct directions. So I'm afraid of that, outside meeting is really kind of tough to control. And that's my personal opinions. I know it's good for us, but I just don't know what, going to be happen, because we might face a lot of, those kind of situations I've just mentioned about. I hope you can give me some clarification about this. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Can I respond to the council member? So council member, these are just town hall meetings where in the normal course of our business, council members do hold town hall meetings, whether it's at a coffee shop or at a park or wherever. This now allows us to use indoor facilities to the council. So it's just a regular town hall meeting that you want to do. It's not a city event.
Okay, but this would be can be hosted by each individual council member. That's
We
what
all
you
have
meant.
that prerogative.
I see. So personally, I always liked, the town hall meeting, because all the residents are engaged.
But that's a city event. This is our own, where we do, like I've done coffee with a council member a couple of times. We do it at a park.
Okay. And that's fine. We're doing it at the park. Now that we're just saying you want to do it using the city facility.
The indoor facilities that are not space that is typically rented by residents.
I see.
This is whether it's in our conference room or in a bigger room in the EOC room.
Or Liberty Park, or.
If you want to clarify, Robert.
Yes.
Yeah, if I may, so the purpose of this section in the guidebook is to provide express city council authorization for use of city facility rooms that are normally rented out for a fee, but for this specific business purpose, for an individual council member to host members of the public broadly for something like coffee with the council member, which is a common practice in many cities. It's a chance for council members to hear directly from residents and potentially provide updates from their perspective about what's going on. Including it in this guidebook, provides clear council direction and as well as parameters for how that's done. Absent that, the city is not able to provide that use of the room to an individual council member without consideration. There was a question about the number of times per year. What staff has proposed in consultation with the working group is 6 occasions per year per council member. We're open to any updates to that if there's a request. But the purpose is just to provide a clear express council authorization for that, so that it does provide individual council members the ability to do that if they choose. It's not, of course, not an obligation. The first question had to do with motions and the order of motions prior to or after discussion. I'll defer to City Attorney Pam Lee to comment on that.
Sure. Thank you, City Manager. And Rosenberg's Rules of Order were adopted from Robert's Rules of Order, which are parliamentary procedures. And if you look at the history, the parliamentary procedures date back to large legislative bodies, Congress, Parliament. You've got 100 members, 400 members, 500 members. They're usually talking among each other and making decisions based on the comments that each of them makes, not necessarily members of the public. And there's a lot of different directions that can be taken with respect to that. Rosenberg's kind of distilled that down specifically for public agencies. But even in that respect, a city council typically only consisting of 5, you usually only have 1 or 2 directions you can take with respect to an item: approve or deny, or approve with amendments. And there's no hard and fast rule on how you conduct those procedures, whether you do a motion first, after you hear public comment, and then discuss among yourselves after a motion is made, or discuss among yourselves after public comment, and then finally make a motion. Each city does it differently. There's no one right way or wrong way. I think logically, it makes sense for a council to discuss what direction they want to take, consider different aspects, and then make a motion, and then narrow that down to discussing that motion. But there are instances where they have a council and a member makes a motion, somebody seconds it, and then there's discussion. I think practically speaking, sometimes it's difficult to make a motion and then support it by a second and then talk about it. I feel like you have to form an opinion first before you make your motion. And sometimes that's not readily apparent based on the information. You want to talk it through more before you come to the decision to make a motion in the first place. And that's why there's this discussion time after public comment period ends to discuss among yourselves and then figure out what you want your motion to be, which is why we typically do that here, because it makes logical sense unless you already have clear direction. A lot of times you don't.
Thank you. So I would also maybe propose, instead of using like 6, each one having the 6 times, 6 community center meetings per year, maybe I would propose to do like at least like 4 times, like every quarter, everybody can have 1 meeting for free. And I want, we should probably have some somebody's overseeing the meeting because we're using the city, facility. I understand. I do see that before I do see the council member, they do have a meet and greet hosted individually at the park just to talk about and to meet all the residents and listen to their opinions and in the park, that I agree, we do have that. So maybe to reduce the city staff's burden or whatever, every time you host it in the city event, I would think it's more like seriously because we do have to concern about, more regulation, but you host it outside. It's your personal meet and greet. That's my personal suggestion. But if everybody's agree with that, that's great. But the thing is, I think maybe we should limit it to like 4 times a year for each one. So it's like every quarter you can have a 1 meeting, on the side. And if we did, we really approve this one and we have the meeting, and hopefully we can have somebody overseeing the meeting and make sure the meeting is conducted properly. I don't want to have any other issues or comments or bad comments from the residents, saying we're not following the rule or whatsoever. Thank you.
What is your concern that's going to happen, that there needs to be a staff member supervising the meeting? What concerns are you worried about that could happen at this meeting, that the presence of a staff member would make a difference?
Because this is no different than a coffee meet and greet outside. This is our town hall.
Each individual.
Yes. Yeah, so I wouldn't even have a staff member.
So you're talking about each individual. We don't have 2 council members hosted at one time. You can't. Just
it's
one
yours.
individual.
It's your own.
I see.
Mayor Pro Tem, you could have one.
You could
have one with one other council member.
If you want to collaborate with another one.
It specifically says that in the first sentence of Section 6.
Okay, but
No more than 2.
Yeah.
it's it's your meeting. You are overseeing your own meeting.
Yeah.
This is not a city event.
So I'd like to hear some comments, maybe from the attorney, attorney. Maybe you can give us some guideline, what you think about that. I'm just using my common sense and my,
I think if you're worried about a council member committing to something or saying the wrong thing, one council member obviously can't act alone. It needs the majority vote to take action. We actually don't have attorneys present at our commission meetings. The only commission that has an attorney present is the Planning Commission. And, city business is conducted at each of those commission meetings, but because they're advisory in nature, we don't need an attorney there. And I think the same goes with these types of meetings with constituents and council members. Obviously, we will do everything in our power to ensure that the council member provides the right information so that members of the public who do attend don't get incorrect information, inaccurate information, or misled in one way or the other. But individual council members obviously can't act alone. I do understand that there may be instances where potential issues may come up, but in terms of a liability, and from that standpoint, it's fairly minimal, unless a council member decides to just go rogue, but that typically doesn't happen.
So you're talking about, thank you for clarifying that. So we have, it says this is a good close. It says requests shall be submitted in writing to the city manager for review and processing at least 3 weeks prior to the proposed meeting date, correct? So we need to propose this and submit to the city manager for review and suggestion, or what?
This is primarily to make sure that we can check the schedule of the facility to see if the requested space is available, or to find an appropriate space. It also allows time within that window for providing notification to the public. What this policy also allows is use of staff time simply to prepare an electronic notice, like a social media post announcing a coffee type event. So it would just allow sufficient time for staff to look at the schedule and then make preparations, including preparing the space for the council member to use it for that event.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hong. Do you have any other questions or any other comments?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Hong. Councilmember Say, do you have any questions or comments?
Thank you, sir. Just for clarification, on page 11, under the meeting D, order of business, there's one say including any mandate report required by AB 1234. Can you give me the explanation on that? Very on the top, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe number 5 sentence there. 5 line.
Thank you for your question, Councilmember Say. This is akin to the item 11B that generally appears on our city council meeting agenda. So during this time, Assembly Bill 1234 does establish a provision for the legislative or advisory body members to report on conferences and meetings where the city has expended funds to send them to these meetings, and that is generally where you will report that required information. That this appears under item 11B, generally for the city council meeting agenda items generally.
I thank you, and also want a special thanks to the manager in the past. Just got like a few months, I do have what I usually attending the private, which is Neighborhood Watch, and meet and greet. I usually goes in there. But before I go there, I always talk to the staff, give me a short abbreviation about certain item that people may ask me. So when I go there, I really just follow what we practice here. In order to just go by myself to the outside meeting, when I go out, I feel I represent the city, no longer just myself. How I feel is represent for the city, and then I cannot. But there are times I can't say we believe we want to do this. I believe, because that's just how common practice to me. Now, what else? I have a question. I thank you, our planning commissioner, Mr. Chang, who had brought a really good point there. In the past, a couple years and years and years in Cerritos, I watched the city council meeting. I do see some issue about the mayor. I hate to say overpower himself, but so far we're okay. I can see how mayor been doing in here and really very generously say, hey, instead of 3 minutes on the minutes, he used to give the staff to 5 minutes. Well, because right now we're okay. But what about happen when we're no longer here? And I saw the past, mayor just say, no, I don't want to talk no more. Just kind of closing out and shut the committee off. But it's not happen today. But what about tomorrow? Not tomorrow, what about next year or the year after? How do we, when we leave this place, we leave some legacy here? And that's my wish. To few years, I'm gone here. Somebody else took over. The policy that, God bless you too. And the guidebook that we're about to make, because I know the guidebook was, when was the guidebook was made? How long ago? Do you know that? I'm sorry about that.
I apologize, council members say, are you inquiring about the former city council protocol manual? That was adopted in April of 2013 originally.
2013. See, this is like 13 and today's 2025, over 12 years ago. 13, 25, right? About 12 years ago. After 12 years ago, we are revised right now. And who knows who's going to be doing that? Mayor will be gone, and I'll be gone. Another 10 years, we might create an issue there. A mayor make the decision. I don't know if it's appropriate. I don't know if it's a common practice or not. In the past, what I learned from is we usually get the consent from the colleague. We have a motion or second, and then we do go to vote. And we're talking about have to not a super majority vote to pass through the minutes. If you decide that we have so many people here, the mayor or the president can lead, say, hey, we have so many people are participating today that mayor can bring it out, or any council member can bring this up, say, we might need to cut down our reminds to mayor, so we might need to have to cut down to 1 minute. I think if we can add something there, I don't know what other city, how they practice in this matter. I know the school board does like this, but I don't know. You know better than that.
Councilmember say, it says in the staff report, this is subject to review, like 6 months after a new council is elected. So we can always review this.
You always can review it?
We can, yes. You can always bring it up to review.
I understand that, but how many times really people will go back to review that after 12, this is 12 years we are reviewing right now.
When the new council is seated, we'll review it again.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like even myself here, after how many years I've been in other area and here 7 months, I'm telling the truth, when the guidebook came to me, it was like original 70-some pages went down up to 130-something pages there. All of a sudden they make changes and we come back and change again. You're right, Mayor Pro Tem, we can come out. But, it usually takes the people the newly elected council member, take us for how long? Really adopt our position. Even today, I'm still even go off the stage, the podium. I still have problems sometimes even public speaking to the point or the process. I'm still kind of a little confusing. I'm learning. But so it takes me probably 2 to 3 years, and our election also changed to only had 2-year term limits in there. Very limit to do the right thing. So how's other, I'm asking you, Ms. Lee, our lawyer here, how's other city, how do they practice? Do they need to have to go through the council member to approve the changes minute from 1 minute, from 5 minutes or 3 minutes to 1 minute?
It's usually by the majority vote of the council, unless there's specific provision that says the chair can limit it to a certain number of comments or a period of time. Some cities will do 3 minutes for all public comments unless it's a public hearing, and then they do 5 minutes because it's a public hearing.
So it does require the council people.
It will depend, because there are cities that, because the chair or the mayor is the presiding officer of the meeting, they have more discretion to determine how long or how short each speaker is allotted time. So it varies a lot.
When it happens like that, it's not require supermajority vote, right? Just
No, because it's written in a guidebook, a procedures manual, or some other location that this discretion is given to the chair.
give it to the chair.
Right.
That's the guidebook
Right.
we have in Cerritos.
Right.
But
So
other city may,
It
it's
depends.
vary.
It does vary.
And this what I feel will be much better. I will leave the legacy there to practice right. And then rather than just one person to make the decision, and I prefer it should be, you don't really need a second consensus. You should just majority vote to approve that change minutes. We can't, then I really have a hard time saying, 1 minute and 3 minutes and 5 minutes really is a tough one. Because like Kara just said, what about you if you have a mayor just dictate the whole thing and say, this is what we want? I don't have a problem right now, but I'm worried about the future. I'm looking for the future. When I leave this place, we always heard about people leave the messes of what we have to take over, 23 meeting we have to pay for. And then the decision should be, leading the decision should be changed a long time ago. It wasn't until today. And we all have to suffer a lot of issues here. So I really would like to have my colleagues to support. Instead of only the mayor can make the move and one of the council member can make a move. But again, also decision will made by all council member will be made a majority vote.
Any other questions or comments,
sir.
Councilmember Say?
Thank you.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
my- mhm.
Thank you for your questions and comments. Councilmember Polito, any questions or comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few questions and some comments. But first, I want to say thank you to City Clerk Cindy Nava, City Attorney Pam Lee, and City Manager Robert Lopez for their good guidance and assistance with our Policy and Procedure Ad Hoc Working Group, comprised of Mayor Pro Tem Linda Johnson and myself. I also wanted to say that it was fun. It was quite a joy to kind of take the very cumbersome parenting manual. I mean protocol manual. How many pages? What was that, Ms. City Clerk?
I don't recall the total number. I know it was about 140, I think.
140 pages, and this is now reduced down to 12 pages. I think this is great. I think this is a case of less is more. I think it's going to make us more efficient and a lot more likely that people will read it. Instead of fear having to refer to it. So I just want to start by saying thank you. I'd like to go to page 3 of the report and just make some general comments about, I'm glad that we're establishing the City Celebrations Committee. I think that makes so much sense, how much the city has evolved in terms of being responsive to the diversity of our community and having such a wide range of celebrations throughout the year for civic engagement and celebrating the diversity of our community. So I appreciated that. And also number 2, where it says establishing the Senior Services Commission. It's quite often that I would have conversations throughout the community over the many years about why don't we have a senior commission? And in fact, we've always spoken, for many, many years about how we have this phenomenon in Cerritos called Aging in Place, and how we have such a vibrant, active senior center and a very engaged senior community. That it just seemed like a missed opportunity that we didn't have a Senior Services Commission. And so I'm excited about returning to the council and being able to actually act on that because, I remember having conversations with, council members in the past about any interest in that, and didn't seem that there was any interest in the previous councils, which is the reason why there was really no action taken. So yeah, I'm very pleased about that, and that it is also very inclusive of addressing issues related to accessibility and disability needs of our residents. I think that is long overdue. I think we have heard from the public at the podium about the unique needs of the disability community, and I think this is an appropriate venue to have those public discussions and to advise the council accordingly. I'd like to turn to, let's see here, there it is, page 4 of the guidebook for elected and appointed officials. Let's see here, particularly Section 3 on meetings, Section 8, placing an item on the public meeting agenda. From the moment I got on the council in 2011, I thought it was quite a high threshold to meet in order to even engage in a conversation to take action by the council. To have 3 members of the council, that's essentially a voting majority. It's kind of like you made a decision before you even put it on the agenda. I mean, to put it on the agenda requiring 3, I saw it as like, essentially a violation of the Brown Act. Prior to even having any research done, discussion made, public comment made, already 3 would nod, and that was considered consensus. I thought it really interesting tonight. This is the first time I've ever heard, from staff, is particularly to our city attorney, and maybe she could elaborate on what she meant by that, that the prior practice, one, was just a practice that it wasn't even documented. And again, the 140 parenting protocol manual, I thought it probably was in there because it was always insisted upon as if it with the force of law, like there was actually an adopted policy or an ordinance in place. So it sounds like,
I do want to make that clarification.
Okay.
I do believe it was in the protocol manual, but when we rescinded it, we were operating without anything. And so that's why we were just operating by past practice. Because if there is nothing on the books, then it's kind of a free-for-all. One person can ask, 2 people, 4 people, 3 people. And so when there was nothing, that's why we fell back on the past practice position of getting consensus.
Yeah.
And just so long as there wasn't a majority or a quorum to act on something outside of the meeting.
Okay.
But it was in the protocol manual.
Okay. So prior to 2013, when it was duly adopted, the protocol manual, there was no documentation because the protocol manual was adopted in 2013. So what happened the several decades of past practice? Because when I got here at 2011, that was the case. But 2013, it was codified, now what you're saying, through a pride project of one council member. That's called the pregnant pause, so that people could kind of absorb what happened for the better part of a decade. But the point that you made earlier, I thought was really interesting, how you felt that the practice of 3 placing items on agenda effectively disenfranchises 2 council members. You said disenfranchise. Maybe you could elaborate what you meant by that.
Well, I've
I
seen in other cities where actually, in a situation where the mayor controlled the agenda. There were several council members that can put items on the agenda, but the mayor actually controlled the publication of the agenda. And that means the mayor had a lot more power than any of the other colleagues to put an item on. And the same way I've seen in other cities where there may be a majority of one side versus a minority on the other, and it was very difficult for certain items to get placed on the agenda to even be discussed. And it would be difficult for matters to come on unless it was already something that the majority wanted. And so in those cities, especially if there's a swing vote, sometimes it's very difficult and you'd have to kind of politically lobby for one thing or the other. And so it would just make city business more difficult to move forward.
Got it. And I would completely agree with that, because the 9 years I was on the city council, that was the case. And when I keep saying that it's a brand new day in Cerritos, this is a manifestation of it right here. This language: at a public meeting, request consensus from at least one other council member, and you characterize it as fair and efficient. Thank you. And fair and efficient leads to good public policy, and our past practice for a decade, I believe, led to bad policy. And it really didn't help council relations. Because if you weren't in that strong majority, then you're effectively silenced. You said disenfranchised. So when a council member or two is disenfranchised, what does that do to the people who voted them in? So I am so glad that we have this here. And even going further, it says, and I think this speaks to the efficiency part, via email, consult with only one other council member and submit requests via email to the city manager indicating the name of the other council member supporting agendizing item, copy the other council member and the city clerk on the request email. This is efficient, and this is thorough and complete. And also the last part, it says, when the item is presented to the city council, the agenda report shall name the council members who initiated the agenda item. I call that transparency. So this section right here is a brand new day in terms of how we govern ourselves with fairness, efficiency, and transparency. Beautiful. So that's what I meant by it was a joy to be on this committee. And I think I'll stop there. At the appropriate time, I would be honored to second the motion if it's made by our Mayor Pro Tem Linda Johnson, who led us in this effort. Thank you.
Mayor, I actually have some question come up, if you don't mind, for clarification.
Sure. Councilmember Say, go ahead and ask your questions.
Thank you. Real quick. I'm a little confusing now. So in the past, it's become a common practice in here. Mayor made the decision calling the time. That's just how Cerritos been doing it.
That's what the current agenda says. I don't know how they've been doing it prior to the codification of that. It could have been by majority vote of the council. I just don't have enough of the history to make that determination unless somebody else has the institutional knowledge about that.
Is any law there say you need to have a vote for consensus about the minute change it based on your common practice here like we have before? I mean, right here, public comments, the mayor just read it out. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and we changed 5 minutes, and he made the decision and very beginning based on most public comment about in the past. And I believe he think that's fair. So when he become a mayor, he say, you know what, I want to be 5 minutes, let the people to express their train of thought. And that was, that was very kind of you, do that, make the changes. But in the future, just we'll talk about how do we know the mayor will not abuse their position.
I'll say it like this.
I hate to say
the majority of the council can take whatever action they want.
Okay.
So to the extent that a mayor may be abusing his or her time, the majority of the council can always override the individual presider because it's the majority vote. You can always pass a resolution. You can change the rules. You can bring back a motion to change this from the mayor to the majority vote. It's always up to the majority of the council because at the end of the day, that's what the majority wants.
Yeah, because you voted right here. There's no Brown Act, right?
This is not a Brown Act issue.
Because I thought I heard something like that.
No.
You know, I always feel I'm here on the both sides, the resident and our council member together. And I want to play safe. Help me out. I'm going to make the amendment on this. If you get approved it, approved it's not, I understand that very well. I would like to prepare an amendment and move
We're not making any motions right now, but you can make a comment on what you would like to see.
Okay.
We have, all the council has not given, all the city council has not given their opportunity for questions and comments. So
I thought you can interrupting it, so I can make an amendment for.
You can, we're not making any motions right now.
Okay.
But you can make a comment saying what you would like to see.
I would really like to see in the future, like to see the proposed item and submit the revised change of council approval in the future. As my suggestion, just this is what I want.
Can you please clarify what you're suggesting for the guidebook, please?
My suggestion will be if it's possible, I like to change to council approval instead of the mayor decision.
For what decision?
For the change minutes changes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, may, will, and I also need to know the difference. I understand what a may and will. Can we have the lawyer explain to me, to the public, what is will, what's may, the difference in there? The difference between.
I'm sorry, you're asking to clarify the
and may.
difference?
Yeah.
The will is, it currently says verbal comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The may is permissive. It is always.
More permissive.
Yes. It allows for more flexibility. When it's a will, it's an edict of something that must be done.
Yeah.
And so it must be 3 minutes. You cannot reduce it. You can extend it under the current language.
Thank you. Because a lot of people are kind of confusing will and may. And I want to thank you, the staff, change the word from will to may. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Do you have any other additional questions or comments, Councilmember Say? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, do you have any questions or comments?
I have comments, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. And thank you to my council colleague, Mark Polito, City Manager Robert Lopez, City Attorney Pam Lee, and City Clerk Cindy Nava for our collaborative work together in creating this new guidebook for elected and appointed officials. Regarding the time limit on public comments, the clerk did clarify that the speaker may get 1 minute. Therefore, comments from residents are not getting shortened. They are actually getting more of an opportunity to speak at a meeting. Being that we are only limited to 45 minutes total for public comments, if we were to have 45 speakers, the mayor may limit their speaking time to 1 minute to give as many people a chance to speak rather than the normal 5 minutes, which would only give 9 speakers rather than a chance to speak within that 45 minutes. The intent of this language is to give as many people as possible an opportunity to address the council. I'm pleased to see that we have safeguards in place so that in the rare event that we do have 45 speakers or more, then giving them a minute is better than cutting them off before the 45-minute mark. And as I have seen since he's been mayor, Mayor Yokoyama has always welcomed everyone to speak for 5 minutes, and I don't think he has any intention, unless he changes his mind, to reduce the time limit on public comments unless there's a special circumstance. In fact, I don't think there's anyone on this council that has ever recommended reducing our 5-minute speaking time. However, I do appreciate Kirit's suggestion that maybe perhaps we do amend our policy or our guidebook to say that public comments will have the standard of 3 minutes, and in the event we have 20 members or more, then we will reduce it to 1 minute. I think that will provide a lot more clarity between this confusion of may and will. So thank you, Kirit, for that recommendation. Regarding the pulling of items from the consent calendar, this simply means that any member of the public can make a request to pull an item from the consent calendar, and it would be the legislative body that would consider doing so. And again, from what I have seen in the past and I may be wrong, but Mayor Yokoyama has always honored a request from a member of the public to remove an item from consent for separate consideration. But what I'm really excited about is the creation of the Senior Services Commission. Thank you, Councilmember Polito. It was really robust discussion when we talked about this, and we're finally going to see it happen. And that Cerritos is an aging community, and there is a need to address the concerns and needs of our aging population, as well as those that have accessibility issues. Within this commission, I'm hoping we'll be able to create a new senior daycare center within our Cerritos Senior Center. For many of our seniors that cannot be left unattended during the day, a daycare center could provide a safe place as well as services, and at the same time provide respite for the caretaker for a few hours. Other examples our Senior Services Commission could possibly do is looking into accessibility for our city facilities. One that has been brought up before in the past was adding an elevator or some kind of lift or accessibility for our seniors with mobility issues to access our city council chambers, thereby giving them an opportunity to continue being engaged in our community. However, all this and any projects at this scale cannot be done without sources of funding, so I look forward to seeing this new commission start the groundwork so that our residents that are aging and have accessibility issues can enjoy these types of amenities that the city has to offer. And when it's appropriate, I'd like to make a motion.
Clarification, Mayor Pro Tem, that your recommendation, you suggest to remove the will and may go directly to 3 minutes. Am I correct?
I'll make it in my motion.
Okay, I second it.
No, I'm not making a motion
Mayor
now.
says ready to vote, yeah, thank you.
Do you have any other questions or comments, Mayor Pro Tem?
No, thank you.
Do my council colleagues have any other questions or comments?
I do have a question.
Okay, Councilmember Hong, go ahead.
On the page 5, still continuing, when we say when the total not to exceed 45 minutes unless the mayor or chair extends it. So the mayor still, the chair or the mayor still have the right to extend it if we need more than 45 minutes, right? Is my correction is right? My understanding is right? So if we have more people and each one still needs 3 minutes, and the mayor can still decide that, hey, maybe we need 1 hour or 1 hour, 15 minutes for the meeting, so that's possibility. So you can either say 1 minute per person for total 45 minutes or 3 minutes for each one and extend it the total minutes. Is my understanding correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hong. Do you have any other questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Do any of my colleagues have any other questions or comments? Okay. Okay, so I just have some comments. So first of all, I'm glad that Councilmember and former Mayor Mark Polito, is on this city council. The 5 of us, I'm really excited to work with all of you, and I feel that we've accomplished a lot, and we've represented the residents. But Councilmember Polito brings his experiences being on the city council from 2011 until 2020. He served for 9 years on the city council until he came back this past March. And one thing I know that he didn't mention was this previous version of the protocol manual that was passed in 2013. It didn't even pass by 5 votes. It didn't even pass by 5 votes. So it already was not a protocol manual that all 5 council members at that meeting bought into. So What I hope we can accomplish is by asking questions and comments and discussing, we get to a guidebook that we can live with. But I do want to point out that, everybody's a difference of opinions can be respected. We can agree to disagree. And I want to point out that the 2013 protocol manual was not passed by 5 votes. The next thing is, it's illuminating to me that I got confirmation today at this meeting. I've suspected it and I've observed it in my attendance at the advisory board meetings, but it's illuminating to me that the advisory boards, the chairs of the advisory boards, have been allowing speakers 3 minutes for public comment. And it sounds like everything's working. That's very informative to me as the mayor of the city council, that our advisory boards and the chairs are giving 3 minutes per speaker for public comment, and they're getting their work done. So we're the outlier. The city council is the outlier. We're the only one that is not limiting speakers to 3 minutes. However, the advisory boards are getting their work done, and I haven't heard complaints about speakers at public comment at the advisory boards not being allowed to express their First Amendment rights. City manager, have you heard of any complaints that the public has not been able to express themselves with their First Amendment rights, express themselves as members of the public, express themselves as residents at our advisory board meetings, given the 3-minute time limit that our chairs are applying to the meetings?
No, sir, I have not received any such complaint.
Thank you. I've always, and just for historical reference, I've always supported 5 minutes for our speakers, our public speakers up to this time. I've always supported it. I've always voted for it. I voted against the majority when previous mayor would limit it to 3 minutes. I expressed my support for 5 minutes. And I, as the mayor, since March 26th of this year, I have never, ever enforced the 45-minute limitation for the total amount of public comment. I've been advised by the city clerk when the 45 minutes is passed, right? The city clerk advises me when the 45 minutes is passed, and I never cut off I've never cut off the public's right to speak. I allowed them to speak. And I've never, ever shut off the cameras. I've never shut off the cameras, unlike the previous city council, where they shut off the cameras because they didn't want the public watching at home, watching streaming, watching on their TV, watching on replay. They didn't want, they wanted to silence the public. So that was a way that the previous council majority acted. And this city council, with me as the mayor, we're letting the public speak. I've given them 5 minutes. I've never cut them off after 45 minutes. I've never turned off the camera. So I do want to point out to everybody that I don't see the cameras being mentioned in this guidebook. But as far as I'm concerned, the cameras equal the public comment. So there should not be any inconsistency with allowing the cameras to be turned on or off in connection with the public comment. The camera should always be on. Unlike the decision of the previous majority of the city council, where they could decide by a vote of the three of them to turn off the camera. Okay? I will point out that in addition to my learning that all of our advisory boards have been successfully allowing public comment to be 3 minutes and getting their work done. Thank you for that information to the city manager and the team informing us. Senior Assistant City Manager Kristen Aguila, I'm getting used to it. Letting us know that 3 minutes is successfully being implemented by all of our advisory bodies. And then I also note that our public speakers and the written public comment express their that they want the 3 minutes. They don't want us to limit it to 1 minute. For example, one of the public comment says, one of the written comments says, keep public comments to 3 minutes. Okay, that's what they're asking for. You know, I'm taking into everything that I'm hearing from my colleagues. My colleagues here don't want 1 minute. I hear some of my colleagues don't want 1 minute. I would never reduce it to 1 minute. And I think any mayor who did that would be in hot water. It wouldn't be a smart thing to do. But they're concerned that they see the words 1 minute and they think that it's going to be inevitable. It's going to be a certainty that someday a selfish mayor will reduce it to 1 minute. I think that would be a big mistake, and it wouldn't look good. But getting back to the written comment, the written comments submitted to us highlight and expressly ask for speakers to be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes at the city council meeting. So that seems to be what the public wants. Like I said, one of the written comments says, keep public comments to 3 minutes. That's what he asked for. There's also this ignorance, misinformation that we clarified once and for all, because I want the residents to understand that the city council and our staff, we and City Hall, we want to have these public meetings, these city council meetings, to inform the public, to transparently provide them with information, to give them accurate information, and we want to engage with them. We want to hear from the public. Okay, so it's frustrating when individuals use scare tactics and be alarmists and be sensational when they misinform the public. For example, saying, keep the resident, this is a statement that a member of the public says, keep the residents' right to remove an item from the consent calendar. That's never been a right of the residents. The residents have never had the right to remove an item for the consent calendar. And I'm just pointing out the misinformation that's out there that makes the public confused about what's really being considered here tonight. And so when an alarmist misinforms the public, you know, and then that same public doesn't even come to the meeting to hear the facts, now there's this misinformation out there. You know, so that's why I'm happy that members of the public come to the meeting, they watch the meetings live or they watch it on recording, and they hear the facts. And that's what we're trying to give here today. And, you know, I'm honored to be the mayor. I'm honored to be a council member since 2017 with my other 4 duly elected council members. We were elected by the residents to represent the 48,300 residents of Cerritos to the best of our abilities. And that's why there are certain things that the council members are able to do. For example, the council members are able to remove items from the consent calendar. And that's what we clarified. And I've never as the mayor, I've never refused a council colleague's request to remove something from the consent calendar, because I view that as your right to do that. So I am against reducing public comments as a matter of a meeting, a matter of conducting our open, public, transparent, informative city council meetings. I am against reducing our public comment to 1 minute, as it is stated in the guidebook, which scares, maybe it scares the public thinking that that's going to be the result. It's going to be limited to 1 minute. And while I don't think it's going to happen, another thing that the information given to me by the city manager's office, that our chairs are limiting public comment to 3 minutes, that's the current minimum. So our chairs are limiting it to 3 minutes, which is the current minimum. So if we change that minimum, you know, that's what I'm wondering about. I'm wondering that our chairs are using 3 minutes. That's the current minimum. If we change the minimum to 1 minute, you know, all of those chairs have been following what the current minimum is. So I'm just concerned about that. So looking at the guidebook, another question I have about the guidebook is, first of all, like I said, I'll say it again, it doesn't mention cameras. Is there a discretion of the council regarding the cameras in connection with public comment? Another question I have about it is, what is the definition of consensus? Are we defining consensus in 3A to now equal 2 council members? Or is it only is consensus for purposes of agendizing, placing an item on the public meeting agenda, is that the only time it's considered 2 people? Because the word consensus shows up throughout the guidebook. For example, 1E, page 3, 1E, regarding the biennial review of the guidebook administration, the second bullet point, upon receipt of city council consensus direction given at a public meeting, an internal ad hoc or administratively appointed working group will review the guidebook and provide recommendations. So are we saying, using that word consensus, that 2 council members can direct a review of the guidebook? Are we redefining completely consensus to equal 2 council members throughout this guidebook?
No, I believe that the definition of consensus generally means agreement in terms of the agreement on consensus under item E, second bullet point, upon receipt of city council consensus direction, in terms of city council in general, an agreement to move forward with a review, that's typically 3.
Okay, well,
Well, for here, for purposes of 3A, first bullet point, request consensus from at least one other council member, that is more specific to just one
well,
other, meaning
yeah,
2
but
total.
The wording is just flawed then, because if you're going to say consensus equals a majority of the body, in this case 3, then you're saying why do we have the word consensus there? Why doesn't it say one? Why doesn't it say request a council member request from at least one other council member?
We can certainly make that clarification.
And
to
then
strike that
we have
out
the same,
or
we have-
use concurrence.
We have the same thing. I just think the word consensus there is not accurate.
Okay.
And concurrence doesn't provide the same clarification either. And then the bullet point for the bullet point for the advisory boards also has the word request consensus. And you have just informed this council that consensus normally means a majority of the body. And that's not what we're doing here. We're saying a minority of the body can agendize something. 2. And we haven't even talked about, well, this council, I haven't heard any comments from my council colleagues if they want to make the threshold for the committees, two of the members can agendize something. 2 out of 10 members can agendize something on our committees if this passes, you know? And we all know that each of us appoints two people to those committees. Okay, just my observation. Okay, so for example, page 6, 3C, Order of Business City Council continued. There's the word in red, subject to City Council consensus. Requests may also be made of staff for reports which will be presented to the City Council at a subsequent meeting. So we're already letting the council agendize something by a minority, two council members. So are we going to make the council members request a report from staff by a consensus of 3 or more? Or is 2 going to be good enough? What did the drafters of this guidebook intend by using the word consensus there? Did they want it to be 3 or more, or was 2 enough for them? Because of them looking to agendize something based on 2 votes, 2 council members, but you're going to put a higher threshold on getting a report from staff, 3 or more. What did the drafters of the guidebook want there? And then looking at 3E on page 7, voting on agenda items. Every time I have voted as a council member has been by electronic voting on our screen or by a roll call vote. I have never used this method that's on the bullet point, where the mayor calls for a vote asking for ayes first, then asks for nays second, then asks for abstentions last, if necessary. Where did that come from, city clerk and city attorney, that our default from the electronic voting is a roll call vote, isn't a roll call vote?
Thank you for your question, Mayor.
Who asked for this?
State law only requires a roll call vote in the event, in certain
I see that.
events. Mhm.
But what I'm saying is, all of us in this room know that the way we've been voting is a roll call vote. So where did this method come to ask for the ayes to vote, and then ask for the nays to vote, and then if necessary, ask for the abstentions. Where did this come from? Who asked for this? Why doesn't it say technical difficulty, no electronic voting? In the event electronic voting cannot be used, the mayor, chair, there shall be a roll call vote. Why aren't we doing a roll call vote? What is the advantage of going to this? Yes, ayes first, nays second, then abstentions. And why is this required? Who asked for this? How did this come about? Anybody can answer.
This is not a requirement. Here we see again the word may. If the mayor or chair opts to conduct voting in this manner, then it is an option, and we just wanted to put that option out there. But if the mayor or chair requests roll call voting, even though it's not required, then a roll call vote would be conducted.
I'm just saying this is a brand new method of voting that this city council has never used for all the years that I've been on the city council. Have they ever done this method of voting? Ever?
I'm wondering if it's leftover language.
Okay, and then regarding page 11, item 6, city council use of facilities for business purposes. You know, I think this is a city council use of facilities for business purposes. You know what this section is the city council members meeting with our constituents. Our city council members making themselves available to our constituents, to our residents, doing one of our jobs, which is talking to the residents, meeting with the residents, talking to our constituents. And I applaud any of my council members who do this. I see council members in other cities. I see and hear them doing this either through their emails or through their social media, that they have office hours, they have coffee with the council member, they have they might call it a town hall where it's just them, but they do this all the time. And I over these now going on 4 years working with Council Member Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, she's organized and scheduled meetings where she invites the public to come meet with her and have coffee. And our school board members do it. President Ernie Nishi calls his tea with the trustee. And he's had his in locations like the boardroom at the ABC School District building here in our city of Cerritos. And I've attended some. And I've seen his constituents, his parents, the families come to these so they have an opportunity to communicate and hear from the school board member and to ask questions. So I recently, a few months ago, I had a office hour with Mayor Frank Aurelio Yokoyama at the Senior Center. And I went there and I met with residents. One of them is in this room. I'm not gonna say who it is. It's up to him if he wants to say it. But those residents who attended my office hour with Mayor Frank Aurelio Yokoyama at the Senior Center were able to ask me questions. They got an update about the city. It was in the Senior Center where staff is working hard and there's someone in charge. Just by being in charge, she's in charge of the facility. So the staff and the management are there to serve the patrons of the Senior Center And they also couldn't help but notice that the mayor was having a meeting in one of the rooms with interested residents. And as far as the feedback I got, it was successful. And I talked to residents because it was in a city facility. It was in the senior center. I had the opportunity to talk to residents before the office hour and talk to residents after office hour. So it really allowed residents the opportunity to meet with one of their elected council members. And if any of my fellow council members want to do something like that, section 6 puts in writing the procedure to help them do it so that they can engage with the residents if they choose to. But I want to encourage my council colleagues to have meetings with the residents. I don't want to discourage them. So I don't understand why there should even be a limit at all. Because one of you having meetings with the residents, with the constituents, with the patrons, why should any of us want to limit you from meeting with the voters, meeting with the residents, the constituents, the patrons of the facility you're at? You know, and if people are happy that a council member is making themselves available to the public, to the residents, to the constituents, you know what? I think if the residents are happy with a council member having a coffee with the council member, that's goodwill for the entire city council. So I know, well, my opinion as a council member going on my 9th year, and the way things happen in our amazing, dynamic city of Cerritos, you know, sometimes things happen and you want to have a meeting with the voters, the constituents, the residents. You want to have a meeting with them as an elected official. And I think it's unrealistic to put a 3-week request time. There's not even 3 weeks between city council meetings. And we want to put I just think 1 week is reasonable. And the reason it's reasonable and realistic is because of all the other language in section 6. You know, just because a council member requests the meeting, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Because, for example, in the first paragraph, it has to be subject to room availability within the facility's operating hours. So just because the council member requests the meeting, the space has to be available. So that's the risk the council member makes if they ask to schedule their meeting 1 week before their requested meeting time, or 3 weeks before their requested meeting time, or 2 months before their requested meeting time. You make the request, and the CMO, the city manager's office, can respond to it as stated in this guidebook. And the first answer is they'll let the council member know if the room is even available. So for those comments I made, and also, I'm so happy that we can have a commission that addresses the priorities of a very important part of our city, our seniors, who deserve recognition and attention from this city. So I am thankful to the ad hoc committee for bringing this Senior Services Commission for our consideration and vote. And I also agree with Mayor Pro Tem Johnson's comments. What I saw the hard work of this ad hoc committee, this ad hoc working group, the Policy and Procedure ad hoc working group, is they are not just simply renaming the Let Freedom Ring Committee. The Let Freedom Ring Committee is not responsive to the current needs and demands of our residents with a more robust schedule of community events. So I agree with her that this is a dissolution of the Let Freedom Ring Committee, and then bringing to the council a resolution and ordinance regarding a city celebrations committee, which will assist the city in planning, again, like I said, a robust schedule of events, not simply the Let Freedom Ring Committee, not simply the Let Freedom Ring event and the Festival of Friendship event. Their responsibilities for events has increased many times over those two events. So I think it is accurate for what Mayor Pro Tem Johnson said about dissolving the Let Freedom Ring Committee and establishing the City Celebrations Committee, with the understanding that our hardworking appointed officials, our hardworking appointed committee members of the Let Freedom Ring Committee will finish their term as members of the City Celebrations Committee.
Mayor, can I ask a question? Since we have changed the title, it seems like there will be more involved, more events. Was that stipend going to be changed on that matter? No. Okay, thank you.
That's a good question, and this is so. Council members say this is leadership in action, governance in action. We are asking questions and making comments and considering this agenda report, just like the many we've done over these months together. And that's something to, if a council member wants to advocate for something like that, they have that right to as a council member. Okay. I'm just seeing if I have anything else I wanted to say. Those are my thoughts. So I think with all of those questions and comments I had about the guidebook, I cannot simply approve the guidebook. So I want to hear from the ad hoc committee if they want to try to amend the guidebook tonight by way of a council discussion, or if they want to bring it back at a future meeting regarding item number 2B. Do they want to try to do 2A, or would they rather do 2B? And but I believe we could still move forward with a motion and a vote on items, recommendations number 3 and number 4. Do any of my council colleagues have any comments or questions about this agenda item?
Mr. Mayor, I have a motion to present, but I also have noted some of the edits that you've mentioned. And if you'd like to hear out my motion with some amendments, and maybe we can kind of come to some council approval to it.
I gladly will listen to your motion.
Okay.
Before Mayor Pro Tem Johnson makes a motion, any of my council colleagues have any questions or comments?
I would like to say something. Originally, I first want to say thank you, Mayor, for your attention to the public comments and for value our community voice. And you are right. I remember I asked to move to council approval, make the time changes, but I realized what you said is correct. If the lobby has controlled by majority vote and the council people does have a right to turn around against the mayor, and somehow it's going to be hard. And which is I watched in the past history, if the majority control the vote and that team, no matter right or wrong, it will win the race, and win the vote, and that's not correct. So I'd like to withdraw my request to make amendment on the council approval. So I removed that, and I absolutely, Mayor Pro Tem Ms. Johnson has mentioned it very clearly in here, I think this is what I heard when we had a question, a comment about this agenda 9A. She did mention about well and may remove in 3 minutes. If they say so, I will concur the second person on that.
Okay, thank you. Does Councilmember Polito, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah.
Did you have a question or comment, Councilmember Polito?
Just comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving us another round of comments following your remarks. I appreciate your insight on a number of items, and I, agree with your concerns about the word consensus throughout the document, and if maybe in Mayor Pro Tem Johnson's motion, she's already done her due diligence during the discussion to perhaps strike the word consensus where appropriate. Just my comment in past practice, I remember prior to the protocol manual and even during the protocol manual years when I was on the council, that oftentimes a mayor might look left and right and look for nodding consensus. So I always saw the practice of the word consensus as achieving some type of an agreement of the body of the council absent a formal vote. And, that's kind of really loosey-goosey. And also to find out that prior to the protocol manual that it wasn't even documented in anything other than the protocol manual. So, just the word illuminating that the mayor used, it's really great for us to be able to take this time to really reflect on how the city of Cerritos has been governed, in that fashion. So it's kind of ironic that we go from 140 pages down to 12 pages, and we're actually being a little bit more efficient and responsible in our efforts. It feels like a better way of doing business by the people. And then the comment that you made about the many comments you made about city council use of facilities, I agree. I agree that it's what the public expects of their elected officials is that they be responsive and attentive and accessible at public facilities. That's probably the most appropriate place to have these conversations, whether it be one-on-one or with groups large or small. And I also of the mind of not putting a limitation on that. If within the normal course of business, we're able to achieve the efforts of a particular council member. Some might have the bandwidth to do more. Some may not prefer to do that. For me, for many years, because of multiple responsibilities, I would meet after hours. I would meet on weekends. I would meet one-on-one. I would meet at, local coffee places, in the park, wherever it was to the comfort level of the constituent, or parent group or neighborhood group, or, so I'd like to be very flexible and not necessarily bound to city facilities, which are subject to regular operating hours. Okay, so I echo the sentiments of the mayor, and also on the second bullet point on item 6, city council use of facilities for business purposes. I think that 1 week is reasonable. 1 week is reasonable. 3 weeks is, I totally get it, because, we have limited staff and limited resources, limited time. But I think when it rises to the level of a council member wanting to meet with constituents, that's top priority, right? And 1 week, I think, is reasonable, unless it's like something like humongous. And then I would hope that the requesting council member would be reasonable about trying to do, say, a big town hall within 1 week. That's not reasonable. So those are all my comments on your remarks, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate the feedback. A number of the items that you brought up were not discussed, but rest assured there are many, many issues that were discussed thoroughly by the ad hoc committee. So hopefully Mayor Pro Tem Johnson's motion will capture enough of your concerns so that we could act tonight. Thank you.
Do my council colleagues have any questions?
One more thing, sorry.
Yeah, council member say.
Yeah, Mayor, just want to let you know from my past experience on page 7 that you pointed out voting agenda items, the technical difficulty problem, the why we say yes and nays and absentee. My past experience, it was recommended standard practice and procedure expect, but there's no legally required.
Yeah, I think over at this ABC School Board, they do roll call vote. You guys do roll call vote, just like we do here when we're not voting electronically. That's why I was confused where this ayes first and nays second and abstentions third, where this came from.
It's recommended, but not legally.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion for the council to approve 2A with the following provisions. To add under the City Celebrations Committee to include the Water Lantern Festival and the Santa Sleigh Day. Number 2, based on written comments.
Is that part of 2A?
No, 2A is to approve staff recommendation.
No, 2A is regarding the guidebook.
Oh, well, wouldn't it be written in the guidebook?
3 involves the City Celebrations Committee.
Oh, okay. Then
you-
let me take back my motion.
I'm just asking so that
This
it's
page 4.
Okay,
there's some sort of
You're right.
You're right.
because we're doing 3 things. Well, there's 5 numbered items in the staff recommendation,
okay.
and I just wasn't sure if you meant to mix.
No, my mistake.
Okay.
Okay,
we start
I'll take
over?
up 2. I'll take up 2A. I'll redo my motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion then to adopt 2A with the following provisions in regards to the guidebook. That based on the public comments that we received, that written comments and both public comments, that we have a standard of a 3-minute public speaking time. And in the event that we have 45 members, both in person and virtual, that we would reduce the speaking time to 1 minute. I would also like to request also in the guidebook that we strike the word consensus where applicable. I'd also request that if there is no electronic voting available, that the mayor can request a roll call vote. I'd also like to request that the council be afforded the unlimited use of facilities based on availability and to provide 1 week notice.
1 week request.
1 week. 1 week request?
Because it's not guaranteed.
Okay, 1 week, you're right. 1 week request. Correct. And I can't recall the committee members, the 10-member committees that we limit their ability to place items on the agenda to just 2 members of the committee. Is that in the guidebook or is that in the staff report? Or is that just something we were discussing?
That's it right now.
Pardon me?
It's in there.
Okay,
On page
yeah.
4.
To 2. 4 would be too much.
So
I
you're
believe I
you're
ca-
you're saying make it 2 for the city council,
And 2
the
for the
commissions, and the committees.
Correct, yes. I believe I captured everything in your comments,
Second.
Mr. Mayor. Okay, thank you.
I second the motion.
There was also in the beginning the request to place an item on the agenda via written communication rather than via email.
Correct. Let's amend that as well.
That's section 3A,
Mm-hmm.
meetings, placing an item. It doesn't have to be only by email. It has to be via written request.
And including text.
Well,
Oh, no,
just it has to be in writing.
writing, okay.
So it could be email, it could be text, it could be a handwritten document, it could be a typed document, it could be a fax, but we have to give something in writing to the city manager.
Correct.
So I think written request is sufficient. What do you think, city attorney? The
Yes.
words via written request?
Correct. That would cover those different aspects.
Inclusive. It's good.
Okay, that was my motion. I believe
I second.
council member.
May I have the city clerk verify this all again, please? Because there are a lot of, comments.
Yeah. Councilmember Hong, I will have the city attorney or city clerk repeat the motion. But first, I'd like to make a friendly amendment, offer a friendly amendment. Regarding the speaking time, public speaker time, where you're going to change the word 1 minute, change the word 1 to 3 under order of business 3C, order of business page 5. You're gonna make it 3, not 1. Okay. My friendly amendment is not to put in anything in there about 1 minute. You know, the mayor, there's a limitation of 45 minutes. The mayor has the option, the discretion to extend that. The public just has to understand. We're balancing the needs of, we're balancing the demands, the requests, the wants of the public. They want to speak for more than 1 minute. So we're going to limit it to 3 minutes. And they're going to just have to understand that potentially, after 15 speakers, potentially we're going to cut off public comment if the mayor chooses to cut it off and enforce the 45-minute time limit. I just think it makes it complicated to tabulate how many speakers are signed up to speak, because as we all know, some people don't sign up to speak, and then at the last minute they raise their hand, they come out of nowhere, they walk through the door. Same thing might happen with the Zoom. People might show up on the Zoom in the middle of the public comment and raise their hand and want to speak. So it's an imperfect, these meetings are imperfect in knowing with certainty how many people are going to want to speak at the very beginning.
I accept your friendly amendment. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, so we have the amended motion by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, seconded by Councilmember Polito. Can the city clerk or the city attorney repeat the motion that's before us regarding item 2A of the recommendation? of the staff recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor. The motion on the table currently, as I have it recorded, and please correct me if I am leaving something out, is to waive full reading of and adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Cerritos adopting a guidebook for elected and appointed officials inclusive of the following amendments. Remove the word 1 minute from the speaker time limit and adjust that to a 3-minute speaker time with the friendly amendment that essentially would leave the verbiage to state that the verbal comments may be limited to 3 minutes per speaker, subject to the mayor or chair extending to a maximum of 5 minutes per speaker, with the total time allotted not to exceed 45 minutes unless the mayor or chair extends. Strike the word consensus from the guidebook. If no electronic voting is accessible at the time, the mayor may request a roll call vote. Removal of the limitation of requests by council members for facility availability. Currently in the document, it lists a maximum of 6 requests, so that would be removed. And provided would be a 1-week request time frame minimum by each council member requesting such use. 10-member committees will be limited, have the ability to place items on a future agenda with an agreement by one other member, as would the same be for council members and commissioners, and a written request provision as opposed to a via email provision for such an item to be added to an agenda in section 3A. Additionally, a part of that motion is to direct the Office of the City Clerk to post the City of Cerritos Guidebook for elected and appointed officials to the city's website and disseminate the document to all city elected and appointed officials. I will note, however, that given potential changes to the advisory boards, should those come forward to the City Council, we may want to hold off on the dissemination of the final book so we can incorporate modifications to the list of the advisory boards if that does so happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you're basically saying based on what happens on recommendation number 3 and recommendation number 4. Okay, let's vote.
The motion passes on a vote of 5-0.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I also like to adopt recommendation number 3 of the staff report, and also to amend that instead of renaming the Let Freedom Ring Committee, we have dissolved the Let Freedom Ring Committee. In addition to the listed events, we will also include the Santa Sleigh Day and the Water Lantern Festival.
Second.
So it was moved by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson and seconded by Councilmember Polito to approve number 3 with the explanation, with the direction that it is a dissolution of the Let Freedom Ring Committee and a creation of the City Celebrations Committee. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And do you want to add anything to your motion about the current Let Freedom Ring Committee members?
Yes, and that the current members of the Let Freedom Ring Committee will continue to serve on the newly established Cerritos Celebrations Committee till the end of their term.
Do you agree to all of that on your second, Councilmember Polito?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, let's vote.
The motion passes 5-0.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, and I would also like to make a motion to approve recommendation number 4 of our staff report regarding the Senior Services Commission.
Second.
It was moved and seconded. Let's vote.
The motion passes on a vote of 5-0.
Awesome.
Are there any other motions to be made by the city council? One last comment I had about this agenda item is that with regards to everything that's been discussed about manuals and guidebooks, the city council, with the guidance and advice of the city manager and the city attorney and the city clerk, these meetings have always been in compliance with the City of Cerritos Municipal Code and the City of Cerritos Charter. So there has been governing laws in place governing our city ever since 1956, when we incorporated with our City of Cerritos Charter, which controls this city council, and our City of Cerritos Municipal Code, which controls this city council. So that is what we have been, all the city councils up to us have always been doing. We have been required to comply with our city charter and our municipal code, and that's what the city manager and the city attorney and the city clerk do to make sure that this city council follows those laws. Any comment on that, or are we all in agreement? Okay.
Mayor, how soon does senior citizen service will start affected? I already had 2 people.
City manager,
already.
City manager, can you answer that question?
Yeah, so, excuse me, given the direction given this evening, the next step will be to bring back the adopting items, resolution, ordinance that would put that body into effect. Upon the first reading of the ordinance, we can take initial steps to solicit applications. That's handled by the city clerk's office. And also the city council can name members to the body. We cannot just, the only caveat is that we cannot hold the first meeting until after the second reading of the ordinance and the ordinance is in effect, but we can take the next steps needed to get there. So at the earliest, we would be looking at first quarter of next year for the first meeting, possibly February or March at the earliest.
Thank you.
That would be the first meeting of the Senior Services Commission.
That's correct.
Okay, but there will be no downtime between the Let Freedom Ring Committee changing to the City Celebrations Committee. 1 month we'll have the Let Freedom Ring Committee meeting, and then we will be able to, the next month, go into the new version, the City Celebrations Committee. Do you envision that?
We will bring back similar documents, the ordinance, et cetera, for that body. However, since there are already sitting members who have that part of that purview, that body will continue to meet, and then we will make note of when the name is changed from the dissolved committee to the new committee.
In the meantime, Robert, can we please invite them to the Santa Sleigh Day?
Yeah, we'd be happy to do
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you, council colleagues. You did a good job. Thank you, council colleagues. Item 10, legislative items. City manager, do we have any legislative items?
We do not, sir.
Good answer. Report from the city manager. Does the city manager have a report?
I don't have any reports this evening, sir.
That's a good answer. City council communications. I'll start with Councilmember Jennifer Hong. Do you have any city council communications?
Yes, I'll just make it very briefly and quickly. October 30th, I have joined the Halloween house festivities for Cerritos city employees and the Cerritos Sheriff Station personnel, and it was a lot of fun. And the turnout is great, and they all are the costume. They are so creative. This is my first time joining this event, and I'm very impressed. And I'm very happy that I joined them. And I I meet a lot of the city staff. Thank you for your hard working. And again, I want to thank you. And I really enjoyed this event. And the city manager is doing a good job to hosting that event. And also November 5th, Bay Orthodontics ribbon cutting ceremony. It was a female owner at the new business on the South Street, the 10945 South Street, unit number 202A. We're so happy. Myself and my council colleagues, they were all there celebrating, including the city manager and the city staff and the economic director. We are all there to support our new business. So that's very important. Also on November 11th, City of Cerritos Veterans Day ceremony. And this time, it was so good that I heard a lot of great comments about this. And most of the residents from other cities are very, very impressed. They all say, wow, this is City of Cerritos. You guys hosted a great event. Thank you. And thanks for all the veterans that they sacrificed themselves for defending our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hong. Councilmember Say, would you like to do Councilmember communications?
Thank you, Mayor. And, I have to take a little longer time because I'm so excited the last couple event at 10, which attend about 6 to 7 places. First one is October 31st. Attend the Neighborhood Watch meeting hosted by Ms. Wilson, the best one yet so far. I had a wonderful time and connecting with the neighbors and listening to their thoughts. Later that evening, attend the Halloween festival at Cerritos Mall. And this is the first time I usually go with my grandkids to the Halloween night, but since I take this role, so I put that event first. So I did attend it with one of my Let Freedom Ring staff. It was beautifully. And November 1st, I attended CCPA Arts Education Program performance. The title is called The Wind in the Willows. The feature many, we have a lot of ABC students attending. And this is like city and the school district working together. We invited children to watch. It was a delight to show. November 3rd. First, I would like to thank Mayor for inviting the multi-talent, award-winning entertainer, Dr. Dawn Lewis, to visit the city of the Cerritos. Dr. Lewis is well known for her many accomplishments, including her role as the voice of the Captain Carol Freeman of the USS Cerritos. And I'll let the mayor to talk about why the name of the Cerritos, because it's so shocked to me. And then a couple of things she also did is like lower decks. In recognize her outstanding achievement, she was presented with the proclamation and the key to Cerritos. And she asked what the keys for and where she can open. It was a great, I really like it. I truly wish the ABC student could have joined us to hear her inspiration story about her childhood and the positive change that she made throughout her life. When I asked to take a photo with our mayor and Dr. Lewis, I was like, oh, I can't wait to go up. And the first thing I met her, I said, you are so beautiful. And Mayor heard that. And she laughed. She laughed. And then she's saying, I was lovely too. I said, oh, wow. And we share a warm laugh and hug. Well, what a fantastic event that day. I truly enjoyed listening and learning from her story. It's very positive impact to our residents. November 5th, attending our planning commission meeting. November and later, I think that was evening, lunchtime. I attended ribbon cutting ceremony for Dr. Bay, which is an orthodontic. Their you got to go to their office, their consultation room with a unique glass door. I was reminded by Mayor Potin told me, you got to see the window, you got to see the door, which is it's very stunning. I never see the door can change the color. When you do a consultation, you can just flip and the whole room, the glasses change color. So you will not able to see who she's talking to. I really see this, what do you call it? All of a sudden I forgot the medical terminology for that. I truly see how she's carefully interviewed the patient and provided privacy to the patient. It was very truly special. November 8th, I purchased ticket to the Kenny G performance. Actually, the reason I purchased ticket is to welcome the mayor of Lomita and his wife. And again, I think the part of the thing I really see a role in Cerritos as a councilwoman or councilman. There's another thing I really respect our Mayor Pro Tem, she was the one actually talked to Lomita, the mayor, and invite him to come. He started saying, you know what, I'm going to come here to watch the show, and then he chose Kenny G. I personally don't like to watch kind of shows. I feel like life is tough, expensive. That's going to carve my arm and leg to pay the ticket, but I regret it. But I'm not regret. I'm sorry. I regret it. I didn't do before, and now I was so happy. Purchased ticket, went to see the show. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful, and I did pay more than that because I bought a CD. I also did a silent auction for the saxophone. It was beautiful. I wish more people can get involved. Our CPA, we have such wonderful program in our city. If everyone can purchase one ticket, you'll make changes. And so on November 8th, I purchased ticket. So with the waiting for the performance, I chatted with the several attendants. I like to see always what's happening, how the people come. Most people come from Long Beach, Cypress, Downey, even Monterey Park. This was my fourth time attending, and with my research background, so I could resist getting a bit of information, informal feedback. So here are the most common that I heard from the people. The building is beautiful. The park is free. They can't believe that they told me when they go Long Beach one, they have to pay so much money for the parking. Local restaurant serve the best food. And we also have the best hotel there, very nice and clean. The environment is very safe. And I wish I lived here. By the way, it was nearly a full house again. This is the fourth time I see the full house in our CCPA. I think that's an improvement. This what I saw. November 11th, I participated in a Veteran Day ceremony, a beautiful event that reminded me of my childhood days, living on the Air Force Base. I was truly enjoy watching that. What a meaningful tradition. But this year is it felt different. I was on the stage. If my dad was still alive, I know he would be very proud of me. Special thanks to all the veterans for keeping us safe, and heartfelt gratitude to those who sacrificed their lives to protect our freedom. A big thank you to our staff, as well as for organizing such a wonderful event and coordinating our assignment so smoothly. Everything looked good. We truly have a strong and dedicated team in here. So this might conclude my visit report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Say. Okay, Councilmember Mark Polito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have two items to report. On Tuesday, November 4th, I was pleased to join with city staff and staff from LA Metro and Orange County Transit Authority to initiate conversations about extending the Southeast Gateway Rail Line to the county line. So it was nice to be able to follow up on a suggestion that I made at a previous council meeting several months ago. So it's nice to have that conversation. And I look forward to future meetings. And then on Tuesday, November 11th, I attended with my council colleagues and the mayor our Cerritos Veterans Day ceremony. And I just want to commend staff for all their hard work and coordination. It was a great turnout. And also want to say congratulations to our mayor for extending invitations to some of our other representatives who showed up and participated, like our LA County Sheriff, Robert Luna, our LA County Assessor, Jeff Prang, and even our United States Congressman Derek Tran. It was great to see them celebrate Veterans Day along with the veterans and their families on just a beautiful day. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Polito. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On October the 29th, I attended the Cerritos Artesia Rotary Club First Responder Dinner, honoring our sheriff deputies and firefighters for their exemplary service this past year. On November 4th, I welcomed students from the school districts in the area to the Cerritos Center for the Performing Arts to watch Magic School Bus, and again on November 5th to watch Wind in the Willows. For many of these kids, this is the first time stepping into a theater to watch a live performance. And I wish to thank LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn for sponsoring the Arts and Education program. On November 5th, I attended the ribbon cutting at Bay Orthodontics. Welcome to Dr. Susan Bay to Cerritos. On November the 11th, I attended the Veterans Day celebration. It was a well-attended event, and I want to thank Chelsea and her staff for the amazing job they did in putting this together. We have one of the nicest Veterans Day events in the area, and I'm proud of the work that our staff does. And thank you to all of our veterans who have served this nation so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we have today. I do want to make an announcement that on December 7th, we will have, once again, the Ube Festmas on Saturday, December 7th, located here on the grounds of the Cerritos Center for the Performing Arts from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. This is a free event with over 70 vendors. This, again, is another Ube Market event, and it meets goal number 4 of our strategic plan, which is economic development. And last, I'd like to wish everybody in the community, our residents, our staff, a happy Thanksgiving. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson. So one thing is, congratulations to Major League Baseball champions, Los Angeles Dodgers, back-to-back champions. And I was really excited, and thank you to the city manager's office and to the hardworking City of Cerritos employees who lit up the infinity statue in our sculpture garden, Dodger Blue, up through this past weekend. What light is it? What color is it supposed to be now?
It was moved to green in honor of Veterans Day.
I didn't see it green today.
And I was just informed due to a technical issue, it's now back in its normal sequence.
Yes, so it's
changing colors.
It's supposed to be green this entire week for our veterans. Can we finish out the week like it was planned to be in veteran green?
That was the plan. We will do our best. There may be a technical impediment, but we will do our best.
Okay, because I wanted our veterans to know this city council had every intention to honor you for the entire week by having the infinity statue changed from Dodger Blue to veteran green. And you're going to do everything you can to get it to veteran green for the rest of the weekend. Thank you. I am pleased to invite the community to 2 upcoming events. It's Christmas tree lighting ceremony. Celebrate the holiday season with your family and friends at the city's Christmas tree lighting ceremony. The event takes place on Monday, November 24 in the Civic Center from 5 to 7 p.m. The City Council will light the city's beautiful Christmas tree at 6 p.m. Crafts, entertainment, and photo opportunities with Santa will be offered, so please be sure to bring a camera. The second event is Santa's Sleigh Day at the CCPA. Santa's Sleigh Day at the CCPA offers an afternoon filled with holiday magic. The event takes place from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, December 6 at the Cerritos Center for the Performing Arts. Welcome Santa Claus when he arrives on the holiday float at 11:15 a.m. enjoy crafts, live performances, holiday music, story time, and festive games. Hot cocoa and treats will be served. Photos with Santa are available, so please be sure to bring a camera. For more information about the upcoming events, please visit the city's website at cerritos.gov. For my mayor communications, I wanted to please report some memorable events for myself and I think for the city and for the attendees. So on Monday, November 3, in our amazing Cerritos Library in the Skyline Room, I was honored and fortunate and blessed to have a conversation with Dr. Dawn Lewis. And she is an accomplished actor and performer and philanthropist. And a thank you to Councilmember Say for joining me at the event. And we had, amazing staff for this wonderful event, attended by over 50 people who heard Dr. Dawn Lewis share her life of acting and performing, and starting off when she was one of the cast members of A Different World. By the way, it was announced a sequel's coming out on Netflix, a sequel series. But starting as Jaleesa in A Different World, she described her life and her path, including her philanthropy and through her foundation, and how she, all of us learned so much interesting information about her, including the fact that she, for 5 seasons of Star Trek Lower Decks, played the Captain Carol Freeman of the USS Cerritos. And people don't know generally what I'm about to share is there's no articles that I've been able to find that say why the show Star Trek Lower Decks decided to name the ship, the featured ship, the main ship in the show, the USS Cerritos. Because one day there was just articles about the new Star Trek Lower Decks show, and Councilmember Polito and I would read them and talk about them. And it announced it was going to be the USS Cerritos, but we can never get an explanation on how it was named the USS Cerritos. And I asked that to Dr. Dawn Lewis among the many questions I asked her. And she picked up her cell phone and she called up the creator of Star Trek Lower Decks, Mike McMahon, and asked him on speakerphone, why was the ship named USS Cerritos? And he answered on speakerphone for all of us in the room, all of us to hear, including the over 50 attendees. And he said, because when he was an up-and-coming entertainment industry staffer, and he would be driving around doing his job, he would hear on the radio all the time commercials for the Cerritos Auto Square. And he also drove in and around the city of Cerritos. But he specifically said because of those commercials that he heard over and over on the radio, driving around as an entertainment staffer and runner, always hearing the Cerritos Auto Square commercials, that's why when he made the ultimate decision on which California city was he going to name the main ship of the Star Trek Lower Decks, that's why he decided on USS Cerritos, because it was in his head coming up in the industry. Okay, so then also, so thank you to Dr. Dawn Lewis. She is forever a friend of the city of Cerritos. And I want to thank the library staff and the communication staff for all the hard work they did for that wonderful event. And on top of that, we had Portos. Did you know that? You missed out on Portos. So then, later that week on Friday and Saturday, I was honored to attend the Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies, co-hosted with the Asian Pacific Islander Caucus of the League of California Cities. They had a San Jose Regional Leadership Academy. And I attended it, and they asked me to be a panelist. And I was on one of the panel with other elected leaders sharing with the attendees about the subject matter of the event, which was a Regional Leadership Academy. And I was joined on the panel with Assembly Member Alex Lee and San Jose Council Member Rosemary Kamai. And we had a panel of elected leaders talking to current and aspiring leaders. And I'm glad to have been a panelist and also represent our city and also represent as a board member of the API caucus of the League of California Cities. Another exciting thing, that a memorable thing for me was I was again on the Petros and Money sports talk show, AM 570, again on Monday, November 10. This was my third time, because every time they come to Cerritos and do their remote show at BJ Cerritos, I am so thankful that they are promoting our city and one of our restaurants and letting everybody know Petros and Money have been, what I hear about their love for the city of Cerritos, and Petros has a lot of he always talks about the history of our city of Cerritos whenever they're in Cerritos during the show. So they came to BJ Cerritos on Monday, November 10, and did their remote show once again. Remember, you were on the show once. Mayor Pro Tem Linda Johnson was on a previous show, but she couldn't make it with me this time. But they always like hearing about Linda P. Johnson. Petros and Money always make it a point to refer to her as Linda P. Johnson. So I showed up. They asked to interview me like they have in the past, and we had a nice interview updating them about the city of Cerritos and this city council, and how this year, for the first time ever on their show, I'm the mayor and their friend Linda P. Johnson is the mayor pro tem, and I told them about the names of our new council members. And I presented them with City of Cerritos t-shirts and City of Cerritos proclamation to the Petros and Money show for their support for the City of Cerritos. And, thank you to Kathy Matsumoto for all the help she gave me preparing for this, and thank you to Communications for helping me and prepare for this. But I will tell you, they have been, for days after the show, have been bragging so much about the City of Cerritos proclamation. And they have been bragging about that proclamation, about how that's the first proclamation they've ever received. And they put it up the next day in their office, in their station, where they do their show normally every day, and they put it out on social media, showing them hanging their first ever proclamation. And, you know, they do remote shows. They go out to a lot of cities, and no city has ever given them a proclamation. City of Cerritos gave them a proclamation, and they are now bragging about it on their show. So I'm looking forward to the Petros and Money show coming back. I think they're planning on coming back one more time before the football season ends. Veterans Day ceremony. Thank you so much to City of Cerritos, the City of Cerritos team, for having a wonderful event. We always have the Veterans Day ceremony in the region, in the area. We don't, you know, move it to another day out of convenience, you know, like Saturday, like other cities do. But I'm glad that they have a Veterans Day ceremony. But we always respect and honor Veterans Day and our veterans. And this year was so memorable because our higher elected officials, Los Angeles County Assessor Jeffrey Prang, Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna, and our United States Congress member, Derek Tran of Congressional District 45, chose to spend their Veterans Day with us here in the City of Cerritos at our Veterans Day ceremony with our veterans and our residents. And they had many other options and commitments, and they came to Cerritos. So thank you to Jeffrey Prang, thank you to Robert Luna, thank you to Derek Tran. And I saw on Jeffrey Prang's social media that he announced he came to Cerritos. He sent his staff to the other cities, but he came to Cerritos. When he had to choose which one he was going to come to, he came to Cerritos. His staff went to the other cities. And Derek Tran was on a plane back to Washington, D.C. after our event. So he stuck around with the things that are going on in Washington, D.C. Things were happening in real time. He still made it a point to stay in the District 45, Congressional District 45, and join us at our Veterans Day ceremony with his 2 young kids. And then go back to Washington, D.C. to do his job afterwards. And I think you were hanging out with his kids, right, City Manager? You were helping with Derek Tran's young kids while Congressmember Derek Tran was on stage with the City Council. So thank you for helping the Congressmember not be stressed out about what his kids were doing. Lastly, one fun thing I was really excited to go to was yesterday I went to Gar High School's signing day for their baseball team. And they had a big event where they brought in all the other student athletes to see 5 young men sign their papers to go to college as a student athlete. And these 5 young men, 2 are going to USC to play baseball, 1 is going to Oregon to play baseball, and 2 are going to Cal State Northridge to play baseball. And Dr. Moore and Coach Perez and all the other coaching staff and all those student athletes got to be a part of this exciting moment for these 5 young men and their families pursuing their dream of playing baseball in college. And it was really fun to see that. That's what's going on in our city, going on in one of our high schools. So thank you for letting me share that with you guys. I appreciate that, you guys. So now, closed session. City Attorney, will you please announce the closed session items?
Yes, we will now recess into closed session to discuss item 12A, labor negotiations with ASME Local 619, 12B, conference with labor negotiator for the unrepresented full-time exempt employees, and 12C, existing litigation Castro versus City of Cerritos. There will be no item related to 12D.
We will now adjourn the regular meeting, and the council will recess to closed session. Thank you, Cerritos. Thank you, staff. Thank you, Captain Drew Strong, for keeping Cerritos safe. We appreciate you always being here at our meetings. Thank you.